It's the second-place Red Sox and the Yankees. They possess a galaxy of stars. Boggs in his batting titles. Clark in his power. A career 300 hitter, Mike Greenwell. But it is Roger Clemens who is the key. Clemens won his first 6 starts of the year, and the Red Sox were in first place. Then suddenly, his season stalled. He lost 8 of his next 14, and the Red Sox fell to 11.5 games back. Almost everyone had left the Sox for dead. Then fortunes reversed. Boggs' bat caught fire. Rookie Phil Plantier made a powerful return for the minor leagues. But mostly, it was Clemens. He pitched a 4-hitter, then a 3-hitter to finish August, and a 2-hitter in his most recent start. And the Sox are only 4 back of the Jays. Tonight they face the Yankees, whose Mel Hall shocked them on Memorial Day. Mattingly and the Yanks meet Clemens and the Sox. This is the big ballpark in the Bronx, where tonight ESPN Sunday Night Baseball features the second-place Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. Today, Toronto was beaten by Oakland, and so Boston, with a win here, will move back to within 3.5 games of the first-place Blue Jays. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan, and tonight we've got some pennant race action for you. Not for the Yankees, who look like they might even surprise and be a contender along about the All-Star break, but the second half has been miserable for them. But for the Red Sox, since they were 11.5 out, they are 27-8. And Roger Clemens goes tonight. And Joe, you would guess that if they're going to overcome the Blue Jays coming from behind, that Clemens will have to win probably just about every start he makes from here on.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But the Red Sox expect him to win every start, every time he goes to the mound. But he started off great. The team started off great. He struggled a little bit in the middle. The team struggled. Now he's hot again, and the team is playing well again. And on top of that, Wade Boggs, who is a .350 lifetime hitter over the second half of a season, is hitting his thing again, doing his thing. And also, Phil Plantier has come back after making some adjustments in the minor leagues.
All right, now Phil Plantier and Mo Vaughn, 2 very impressive young players from the farm system. And Plantier especially has been red hot. He hit one in the 3rd deck here just the other night.
Well, he went to the minor leagues, and he came out of his crouch a little bit. He felt like he could not get the same swing here that he was getting in the minor leagues. So he's changed his stance. He's come back, and he's hit .413 since he's been back with 5 home runs. He did not hit any home runs before he went down the first time.
Now, the Yankees have had some surprises of their own, including Mel Hall, who's had an excellent year. He hurt his back the other day, but no way, he said, he's going to miss this series because he hates the Red Sox. He said, I don't care who wins the American League East, just as long as it's not the Red Sox.
Well, Mel Hall has been the most pleasant surprise for the Yankees this year. At the beginning, it was Kevin Moss, Mattingly, the usual names. But Mel Hall has led the team in runs batted in, and he has a lot fewer at-bats than anyone else on the ball club. He has been the key for this ball club so far.
All right, now, Mattingly, who's not the powerful hitter he once was, still hitting right around 300. So is Steve Sachs. And they've mixed in some of those young players as well as the veteran Mel Hall, who's also hitting 300. So the Yankees are ready to give Clemens a run for tonight at Yankee Stadium.
Well, you take Steve Sachs. He's an everyday player that has done a great job hitting over 300. Mattingly says he needs to drive the ball in the gaps a little bit more if he's going to produce runs.
All right, so we're about ready to play ball, the Yankees and the Red Sox from the Bronx. And it will be Roger Clemens on the mound for Boston, and he has been red hot, and he'll be opposed by hard-throwing right-hander Eric Plunk.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drinking Bush Light. By Casio, watches that do more than keep time, they keep you ahead of the game. And by Isuzu, for features, styling, and price, there's no comparison.
John Miller and Joe Morgan back here at Yankee Stadium. And a look now at the starting lineup for the visiting Boston Red Sox. It will be Wade Boggs at third base. Jody Reed at second base. The impressive young left-handed slugger Phil Plantier in right field. Jack Clark, the Ripper, hitting cleanup, the DH. Mike Greenwell is in left field. The hulking rookie left-handed slugger Mo Vaughn at first base. Steve Lyons in center field. Ellis Burks is hurting. Tony Pena, the veteran catcher, bats 8th. Luis Rivera is the shortstop, batting 9th. And on the mound for the Yankees, a 28-year-old right-hander, Eric Plunk.
Well, Plunk throws very hard, has a lot of movement on his fastball. Control has been his problem throughout his career.
There's Matt Noakes, his battery mate.
And Matt Noakes has had 5 two-homer games since July 6th. That's amazing.
He leads the Yankees in home runs for the years. So here's Boggs to lead it off. He's hitting .335. You see that. He always gets a lot of walks. This year, no different. Excellent on-base percentage. 8 homers, 48 RBIs, 37 doubles, 2 triples. The man just gets on base, and he gives those hitting behind him many RBI opportunities. So here we go. And there is a strike.
John, one of the interesting things talking to Boggs before the ball game, I found out it's one of the reasons he started hitting better is he went to a lighter bat. He said that really opened up the whole field for him. What that means is now he can pull the ball. You know, most of the time in the past you played Wade Boggs left, center, over. And now he feels like with a lighter bat, he can take a little more advantage of the hole on the right side of the infield.
The outfield plays him toward the left, nonetheless. Plunk, hard thrower. That's a called strike. Rick Reed, the home plate umpire. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And they clocked him there, Joe, at 92 miles an hour.
Well, he throws very hard, and his fastball is alive. It had a lot of movement on it.
And did that come up and get him in the face?
Either that or some dirt flew up and got in his eyes. It's a good slider there from Plunk. It's a slider down and in. Boggs fouls it. Gets him on the left ear. You don't need to hear to hit anyway.
What's that?
You don't have to hear to hit.
Pardon me? Just trying to show you what a great hitter I was.
Right.
2-2 the count to Boggs. Reed and Plantier will follow. The Red Sox 27-8 since they were 11.5 back of the Blue Jays. Just off the outside. 3-2. Now that's a pretty good stretch run. 27-8. And
yes.
The Sox take a lot of grief for various things, but 27-8 I think is pretty self-explanatory. In the stretch, that means pretty good ball club, a lot of heart. And Boggs draws a walk.
The defense for the Yankees, Don Mattingly, Gold Glove winner at first. Steve Sachs playing good defense this year at second. Alvaro Espinosa is at shortstop. Randy Velarde is at third. Bernie Williams is now the center fielder. Roberto Kelly has moved over to left from center, and Mel Hall is in right. Sore back and all.
And he is not running very well, either in right field or on the bases, but he wants to be in there to see if he can help beat the hated Red Sox.
I laughed when you said that in our open, but there were teams I hated as well when I played. I just wanted to make sure that we beat that team on that particular day. So it does happen.
Jody Reed, the hitter, that is fouled on the left field line. Reed comes into the game hitting .273, 36 doubles with his 3 homers and 43 RBIs. On deck is Phil Plantier. Well, Mel Hall is just the latest in a long line of people on either side here who have hated the other team for a long, long time.
Another reason the Red Sox have done well is Jody Reed in the second slot. He started off very slowly this year. Now he's swinging the bat well again.
A ball and a strike.
I asked Wade Boggs today if, how important is a manager in a pennant race. And he said he thinks they are important because they can lose a lot of ball games for you trying to make extra moves that are not necessary. And I agree with that. Not to say that you know, Joe Morgan or anyone else has done that, but that is one of the things that can happen to a manager in a pennant race.
1 ball, 1 strike to Jody Reed. Boggs at first, and he's back over there. Mattingly playing him on the bag.
Wade Boggs has had 167 hits, 85 walks, and he's only attempted 1 stolen base this year. So he's on base, you know, so often, and he still does not attempt a stolen base.
Well, I remember talking to Joe Morgan, the manager, about the possibility that the White Sox were stealing signs at the new Comiskey Park. Some managers have made that claim, and Joe Morgan says, well, they're welcome to mine because we don't have any signs. What are our signs? Just you know, hit away.
Yeah. But you would think that they would try some hit and runs at least.
That's deep down the left field line. This one has a chance, and that is number 4 for Jody Reed. 2-0 Boston. Only 3:18 down the line, and Jody Reed found it. And Boston has jumped ahead for Clemens, much to the chagrin of Stump Merrill.
Like I said, try hit and run. He hit it, now they're running.
Yeah, they're kind of a hit and run.
Yeah. Well, he has been swinging the bat well, as I mentioned, and he's a very important cog in this Red Sox attack because he hits in the second spot, and you're going to have a lot of runners on, especially Wade Boggs. This is Plunk's problem. He gets the ball in the middle of the plate, and it's actually moving in a little bit to Jody Reed, and he just turns on it. And with it being only 3:18 down the line, doesn't take much of a poke.
Jody Reed now with 14 hits in his last 30 at-bats. And also against the Yankees this year, he is now hitting .500. Now this is Phil Plantier. And look at those numbers. 5 homers and 23 RBIs for Plantier, and he's only had 80 at-bats. Ooh. A mighty cut. 1 ball, 1 strike. He hit one into the 3rd deck here just the other night. He said it was the longest home run that he has hit, obviously, as a big leaguer. Hit a couple in the minors, he said, that might have been longer, but this was certainly the most important one. Check swing in there for a strike, says Rick Reed.
I don't want to take anything away from him, but you have to remember it's a short porch in right field, so the 3rd deck is not a monstrous blast. It's the big home run in this ballpark, but it's not like it would be a big home run in the Astrodome or someplace like that.
We keep talking about home runs in the Astrodome, and I keep saying, well, where?
Right.
When? Give me a date. 2-2 the count.
As you mentioned, the first time he came up, he hit .235 in his first stay with the Red Sox. No home runs. He went back down, got his act together, and since he's been back, he's hit 5 home runs and hitting .413.
That is out of play. 2-2. This was Plantier Friday night against the Yankees' Jeff Johnson.
Tell you what, he swung at it like it's a mighty home run, so maybe I'm wrong there.
The Scooter thought it was pretty, he thought it was pretty long. Holy cow, that's a base hit for Plantier. Still nobody out. I don't know how long Plunk is going to last in this one.
Well, you obviously cannot fall behind Roger Clemens too often and expect to come back and win. So that is the test. It's a breaking ball that kind of hangs out over the plate. And he just reaches out and lines it into center field. That's a good 2-strike swing.
And now the ripper. Jack Clark. Plantier over at first. And don't expect him to be running either. 22 homers, 77 batted in for Jack. That is a strike. You saw there just before the replay, Mark Connor, the Yankee pitching coach, head over to the phone to call the bullpen. So we are going to get some activity out there for the Yankees now. 2-0 Boston ahead, and it is strike 2 to Clark. Right-hander Dave Island has begun warming up in the Yankee bullpen. Well, this is not unusual for the Red Sox. 27-8. Those numbers keep going around in your mind. is gone just like that. And Mike Greenwell is coming up. Clark has been hurting.
Yes. And that curveball arrow hurt him a lot more. It's a very good curveball. Plunk has a good curveball. He hung the curveball to Plantier. Plantier lined it in the center field. This is not a hanger. See, it's diving low and away. Almost a perfect pitch. Watch Noakes, how he reaches down and away to get that pitch. That's the spot to throw a curveball.
Back on August 26th, Clark suffered a torn calf muscle in his right calf. He missed 9 ball games. Back in there, but it will need the winter time to heal up fully.
Well, it was unfortunate for Jack and the Red Sox because he was really swinging the bat well at that time. He hit a home run on the next pitch after he tore it, and it was probably the slowest home run trot you've ever seen. He could barely walk around the bases. I thought they were going to have to send a pinch runner out there.
Here's Greenwell, and he takes a strike. I remember seeing that happen to Jack when he was with the Yankees in spring training in Miami. I think he was with the Yankees, what, in '87 or '88, and he hit a home run at Miami Stadium and was hurt. And again, it took him 10 minutes to go around the base paths, it seemed. 0-1 to Greenwell, another 300 hitter for the Red Sox. This is a high fly ball, but a routine play for Bernie Williams. Back to first will go Plantier.
Now, I've seen high-top shoes, that new high-top look, but look at the ones that Plantier has on. Those look like Mike Tyson's boots. Look like boxing shoes.
It's a new macho look in baseball, Joe.
Okay.
You know, like, don't fool around with me.
Maybe he's going to try it for the WWF. Look at those. It definitely doesn't look like baseball shoes. Ty Cobb's rolling over in his grave right now. What are they doing to these, to the game?
Here's Mo Vaughn. Now, he doesn't need those kind of high-top shoes to look macho. I mean, this guy is big and strong, and he shows it. And I think he's going to be one of those guys could be a 35 or 40 home run a year man. Mo Vaughn, 4 homers, 28 batted in. He's at 173 at bats. That's a high drive deep in the right center. Williams is back, and he's there, and he's got it.
He hits at 385. It's an out. Jody Reed hits at 318. It's a 2-run homer.
It's just not fair. Boston 2, the Yankees coming up. Welcome back to Yankee Stadium in New York, New York, as Reggie Jackson used to call it, the big ballpark. The Yankees starting lineup now is announced by Stump Merrill, the manager. Steve Sachs having an excellent year. He's in second base. Bernie Williams in center field, an excellent young rookie. Don Mattingly hitting around 300 at first base. Mel Hall, it's been his best year in right field. Roberto Kelly is in left field. Matt Noakes, who leads the Yankees in home runs, having one of his best years, is the catcher. Kevin Moss struggling terribly since the early going, the DH. Alvaro Espinosa at shortstop, and at third base batting ninth, Randy Velarde. And of course, none of them can be happy to see that man on the mound, and the Rocket living up to that nickname once again here in the stretch run.
Well, he has won 3 of his last 4 decisions. He's pitched a 4-hitter, a 3-hitter, and a 2-hitter. Maybe he's going to drop down to a 1-hitter now. But the real story of Roger Clemens is the 204 strikeouts there. He is a power pitcher, and he is an overpowering power pitcher.
Well, Clemens has won 15 games this year, including his first 6 in a row. Then he went through a down period, and people were genuinely concerned. And I know when you saw him there for a while, you thought maybe he was ailing.
Yeah, he did not have the same smoothness in his motion. The rhythm was not the same as what we had seen when he was 6-0. And it just seemed like something was bothering him in his shoulder.
Quite an interesting battery. You got Clemens on the mound, and he's one of the best there is. And this is one of the best receivers around and has been for a long time, Tony Pena.
The great thing about Tony Pena is how he works the pitchers. He's not the greatest thrower, not the greatest defensive catcher, but he works the pitchers as well as any catcher you'll ever see.
Steve Sachs will lead it off for the Yanks. He's hitting .303. Sachs got off to a real slow start this year, but he really got hot. And you mentioned Boggs going to a lighter bat. Well, that's what Sachs did. And you see those 8 home runs. That's a career record for him. And most of those homers have been pulled right down the left field line, much like Jody Reed's in the first inning here. That's ball one. Sachs attributes that to the lighter bat.
There are a lot of hitters who hit the ball back through the middle, right center, left center, that can really benefit by going to a lighter bat. As you see, he's done very well against Roger Clemens. But there are a lot of hitters who are pull hitters. The lighter bat will hurt more than it would help. But both of the players we're talking about really are not pull hitters. They hit the ball back through the middle and to the alley, so it really benefits them a little more.
Well, and Sachs said that he kept hitting these little fly balls to right field, and they kept catching them.
Right. That will cause you to change.
1 ball, 1 strike. Sachs hitting .303. And up. Another base hit for Sachs.
One of the reasons I believe he hits well against Roger Clemens is that Steve Sachs really comes from the National League. And the National League, you know, through the years that he was there, had a lot of hard throwers. And he's used to hard throwers. Whereas, you know, the American League for so many years has been called a breaking ball league. And Sachs can handle the fastball. This is a fastball that's up a little bit. And he's still able to hit a line drive in the right center field.
Well, Roger Clemens has pitched to 1 batter and given up 1 hit. He is leading 2-0 though. And here is Bernie Williams, the switch-hitting young center fielder, hitting only .220, but he does get his share of walks. Pretty good on-base average for a .220 average. He's young. They got a lot of young talent, but promising young talent in this ball club. And it is strike 1, says Rick Reed. Now Clemens giving up a hit already in this one. Keep in mind, in his most recent start last Tuesday against Detroit, he did not give up a hit until the 7th inning. And back is Sachs.
Well, you expect that he will always pitch well against the Detroit team because they are free swingers and they will chase the high fastball. A power pitcher has more success against free swingers than he does a guy like Steve Sachs, who has a short swing and is a line drive hitter. Most of the players on the Detroit Tigers team are free swingers, and they're all home run hitters.
Here's Sachs, 28 steals. Jody Reed.
That's a big league play there. Tough play.
Sachs moves along.
There's a decision to be made as soon as the ball's hit. Either you back up and try to get the big hop, or you charge it and try to get the short hop. He tried to get the short hop, but he did not quite get there in time to make it an easy play. He got it in between, but he made a good play. Stayed down on it.
Now, if you're sitting home and saying, well, didn't he have time to get Sachs at second base? What would you say?
No, his momentum was carrying him towards the ball, and his main concern was to make sure he caught the ball first. You have to give Sachs second base. You want to make sure you record an out. You have a 2-0 lead.
Here is Mattingly. And that's a strike. The heater from Roger Clemens. Now, Mattingly, Friday night here, almost hit a homer to tie the ball game in the 9th inning. You see, he too has had his fair share of success against Clemens. But in right field, Brunansky playing that night jumped up and got his glove on the ball to keep it in the ballpark.
I would think that most of those hits came pre-back injury against Roger Clemens. That right there is what I'm talking about. With a good fastball like Clemens and not able to pivot, you're not going to stay on top of the ball. And with Clemens' high fastball, you have to stay on top of it.
Steve Lyons grabbing that one in shallow center.
The defense for Boston, Mo Vaughn, the young player up in the minor leagues, is at first. Jody Reed. Luis Rivera is at shortstop, and Wade Boggs is over at third. The other young player, Phil Plantier, is in right. Steve Lyons subs for Ellis Burks in center tonight, and Mike Greenwell is in left.
Here is Mel Hall. Now keep in mind he has a bad back. He hurt it while doing some stretching exercises before a ball game last weekend. And it's ball 1. And then he re-injured himself. Even though he was hurting, he told Stump Merrill that he had 1 at bat in him that day and was put in the game in the 9th inning, and he struck out, and he just really hurt himself. Yeah, that set him back. Sachs at second, 2 down. We're in the first. Boston ahead 2-0. That's out of play. Now, Don Mattingly, of course, who's had a lot of back problems, he said to Mel Hall, he said, hey, don't fool around with this back injury. I mean, you've had a good year, and we can't win it. Shut it down. Just get over this back injury. Come back strong next year. And that's when Mel Hall came out and just said, hey, I would shut it down, but we got those 4 with the Red Sox. and I hate him.
Well, that's good. Players need some inspiration sometimes, and the Red Sox obviously give him inspiration. Remember on July 4th, he hit the game-winning home. When was that? Memorial Day. He hit the home run off of Reardon in the bottom of the ninth to win the ball game.
Real exciting finish to that one. Back to the screen on an off-speed delivery. 1-2 the count. Mel Hall hitting .299. He's got 18 homers. And you see he has done some damage against the Red Sox over the years. This year, he's also been doing damage against left-handed pitching. Right. And as he says himself, he says, hey, how would they know I couldn't hit left-handers in the past when they never let me even attempt it? Well, it was just assumed.
That's a good point.
He's hit well against the lefties this year. .320. Ooh. What was that, a split-finger pitch? Looked pretty tough. One hit for the Yanks at the end of one. 2-0 Boston.
Stick with Sports Channel in September for sizzling sports excitement. Metro College football kicks off with coverage of local favorites Hofstra, Fordham, and St. John's. Plus, catch Sunday replays of Notre Dame and Syracuse. The Mets start their September pennant drive when they clash with NL East foes in 11 crucial games. Check out the world's elite skaters in an explosive international tournament, Canada Cup 91. And coming in October, baseball's greatest games. Sports Channel this fall. A lot to get excited about.
Is very cautious as far as his associations, very cautious who he picks as friends, very cautious who he trusts.
Atlanta's strong-arm Tom Glavine powers the Braves' drive for the National League West title. San Diego's Tony Gwynn gearing up for another National League batting crown at the special time of 9 Eastern on ESPN, Wednesday Night Baseball.
John Miller and Joe Morgan with Sunday Night Baseball from Yankee Stadium, and I think Roger Clemens throws hard. How about this pitch?
Well, this is a new pitch. It's not really a changeup because he doesn't have it back in his hand, but the ball moves away from the left-handed hitter. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the pitch Mike Boddicker used to throw, the Fosh ball.
Pretty tough pitch. Boddicker's Fosh was sort of a combination changeup, fork ball, and screwball all in one.
And Mel Hall would probably say to you, that's what that was.
Not fair that Clemens, with all the other stuff he has in his arsenal, throws a pitch like that. Steve Lyons in there in place of Ellis Burks, who is hurting. He's not had a very good year anyway, and now he's hurting. Plunk with a breaking ball misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. Burks has had lower back pain, and then yesterday he started experiencing a tingling sensation in his left leg. He'll be examined when the Sox return to Boston tomorrow. The Yankee physician, Dr. Stuart Hershon, said that he might have a pinched nerve.
You mentioned he has not had a good year overall, but when you're the Red Sox and you're chasing Toronto, you want Ellis Burks in there because you know that if he gets hot, he can carry the team for stretches at a time. And that's what you need now when you're chasing a team. A lot of players who can carry you a game or two at a time.
Lyons into left center. This is Roberto Kelly. And that is one away. The famous Yankee Stadium facade, which used to hang from the roof of the upper deck in the old Yankee Stadium. Now they have it ringing the outfield. And that's a look from the facade back into the big ballpark. Kind of an addition to the new ballpark in deference to the Yankee Stadium tradition.
Good. They're going to do that in Baltimore. Keep something of the old ballpark, I'm sure.
Here's Tony Pena, and he fouls one back and out of play. 0-1. I believe in Baltimore we're going to move one of the foul poles from the old ballpark into the new one. The new ballpark will have just the feel of a lot of the old ballparks.
You mean they haven't worn that foul pole out yet?
1 strike to count to Pena. Nice play by Espinosa. Wow. I can't believe he got the ball over there like that. Pena's safe, but it was a near miracle play by Espinosa.
Well, it's a fantastic play. I saw Bordick of the A's make a diving stop the other day and throw it all the way in the air from his knees. Watch this. I mean, that's a great stop just to make the catch. He knows he doesn't have time to get to his feet, so he tries to throw it from a kneeling position. Can't get enough on the throw. Tony Pena runs pretty well, and he's hustling all the way. He needed this base hit. There you see, he's also diving away from the play. In Bordick's play the other day, he was kind of diving towards third, so he wasn't going toward the outfield.
Now here is Luis Rivera. Ball one from Plunk, 2-0. Boston ahead. We're in the top of the second. Whatever happened to the old days when you had catchers like Ernie Lombardi and Smokey Burgess? Lombardi, who won some batting titles and is in the Hall of Fame, was so slow. A couple times he even got thrown out when he hit base hits to the outfield, or it seemed to be base hits. Pena back. 7 stolen bases for Tony Pena this year. And on this ball club, that is good for second place.
Which is one of the reasons that they will struggle throughout every season that they play. There will be times when the team hitters go into slumps, and you can't manufacture any runs without any speed.
2-0.
I don't think there's ever been a Boston team since I started watching them that has just gone from start to finish and had a real good season. Your hitters will go into slumps, and you have to make up for it by stealing a run here and there, hitting and running, doing a few things. And with the Boston Red Sox, they've never had speed, so they've never learned to do that.
2-0 to Rivera. 2-1. Eric Plunk. He's a fellow with a great arm and no role. At one time, when he was with Oakland, they looked at him as a starting pitcher. He did not have success. Then they thought he might make a good closer, but he seemed ill-suited for that as well. Pena running. Noakes. Got it. Espinosa with the tag.
Plunk has a slow delivery to the plate, but Pena does not get a real good jump. Well, see how slow his delivery is, but Pena does not take off until he's almost at the peak of his leg lift. Noakes comes up, he throws the ball high to second base. Pena had a chance of getting under the tag, but it was there in time enough to get him.
Now 2 down, and the curveball for the 3rd out. Second strikeout for Plunk. Yankees will have Roberto Kelly, Matt Noakes, and Kevin Moss. The Red Sox have the lead back of Clemens, 2-0 after 1.5.
I'm Jim Bergamo. Of course, the Red Sox chasing the Blue Jays, and right now Budweiser takes us to Toronto, where in the top of the 9th, bases loaded. Jose Canseco already with home run number 40 on the season. You're looking at number 41, the grand slam home run off Jim Acker. The A's go on to win 10-5. Boston can close to within 3.5. Now back to John and Joe in New York.
All right, and by virtue of that, the Red Sox with a chance to gain ground on the Blue Jays. Speaking of the Blue Jays in Oakland, that's where we will be next Sunday night in Oakland as the Blue Jays and Athletics go at it again, as the Athletics in a very rare role of being the spoiler. Well, they helped the Red Sox out today. Imagine that. It's next Sunday night as Joe Carter having maybe his best year, and Canseco, and he's just having a sensational year for the Athletics without the help that he used to get, and without being in a pennant race.
Well, he's had a fantastic year, especially when you remember that last year his back was bothering him so much they didn't know how much they were going to get from Canseco this year.
Here is Roberto Kelly. Ball one from Clemens. 2-0, Boston ahead. Last of the second. Canseco and Cecil Fielder still battling it out for the home run championship. Fielder hit number 42 today. That's foul off to the right. 1 ball, 1 strike. Canseco now with 41 home runs. And he has just had, as we said, an outstanding year.
It's amazing. Last year, you know, there was talk of him being the most valuable player in the league. And, you know, they said he was nosed out because his team wasn't in a pennant race. Well, this year they've been in a pennant race. He's having a similar type year, and you don't hear a lot about him. I mean, it's amazing. We take him for granted now. The guy hits 52 and drives in 125 or so, and we take him for granted.
Well, Canseco had at least 6 RBIs today.
What?
Gives him 111 for the year. 2 homers, including a grand slam today. This is caught by Lyons, and that is 1 away. Canseco hit number 40, a 2-run shot in the first inning to give Oakland a lead today. And then in the 9th, with Toronto catching up 6-4, he had a grand slammer. So at least 6 RBIs for Canseco today.
Well,
here is Matt Noakes, 23 home runs. Joe mentioned earlier, 5 times since early July he's had 2 homers in a game. Chase that high fastball from Clemens. Noakes is hitting .283, 23 homers, 70 RBIs. He had had only 5 2-home-run games in his whole career before this year.
Well, 2 home-run games are not commonplace.
Unless, boom, look out. That'll put the fear of the Lord into you.
Actually, he did not avoid that. It just missed him because he was late. He was late moving out of the way. Watch this fastball. See, that just misses him. He's still there.
Hard but foul. Diving for the ball anyway, Mo Vaughn. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now, yesterday, the Red Sox had one of the worst and yet most humorous plays of the year here. A wild pickoff throw at first. Mullins the runner. Vaughn chased the ball, threw to second to try and get Mullins, but threw it into left field, trying to avoid hitting Mullins. Mullins went to third, and Greenwell ran in from left field, and the ball bounced off his glove and rolled away, and Mullins came all the way around to score on the play. 3 errors on the same play. Two and you look how Pena sets that low target.
Yes, that's why I say he works the pitcher as well as you possibly can work a pitcher. He stays down, he moves the strike zone around, in and out, and he catches the ball well so the umpire can see it.
Now he missed that pitch. Pena's going to have to throw him out, but he does. Second strikeout for Clemens. 2 down in the second. The batter will be Kevin Moss. 2-0. Boston ahead, last of the second.
Well, it's a breaking ball that doesn't ever start in the strike zone, and you can see that's one of those 60-foot curve balls that bounces out in front of the plate. Pena does a good job of blocking it and keeping it in front of him, and he has plenty of time to pick it up and throw out Matt Noakes.
Kevin Moss, only a .212 batting average. A strike.
A lot of people are deceived by Moss's stance. When you stand like that, you think he wants the ball inside because he's so close to the plate. That's not true. He really wants the ball out over the plate, and they've been able to keep the ball right there in tight on him as these first 2 pitches have been, and that's why he has struggled. That's why he is a 200. You know, he's hitting .212. He has a much better swing than that, but because he sets up that way at the plate, he gives them a good target. He gives them a place to go if they have good enough control to get in there. But if you miss 6 inches out over the plate, he makes you pay for it.
2 strikes.
Right back in there again.
Strike 3. 3 strikeouts for Clemens through 2. Boston 2, the Yankees nothing. Top of the order coming up. Here come the Red Sox into the third, leading 2-0. There's some Sox fans risking their lives here at Yankee Stadium amidst this large group of Yankee fans. Wade Boggs takes ball 1. He walked his first time and started a 2-run rally that has the Yankees leading 2-0. Boggs started the game hitting .335. The league leader at the start of the day was the Texas Rangers' Julio Franco at .341. Boggs second place. And then Monitor of Milwaukee third place at .330. Boggs has never been retired by Plunk. He's only faced him 6 times, but has had 3 hits against him and 3 walks.
And I would understand that because Boggs will not swing at a pitch that's out of the strike zone. So what Plunk eventually does when he gets behind is he has to take a little off to throw a strike, and Boggs feasts on those mediocre fastballs.
And that is a 4-pitch walk. Well, watch this pitch Roger Clemens threw to strike out Moss looking in the last inning.
We've been trying to figure out what this pitch is. Watch, it starts inside. It's way inside. Now it moves back over the plate. That's the same pitch that he used to strike out Mel Hall. It went down and away. Now watch the grip. Watch the inside finger here, right there, the one that's below the ball. He pulls right through there and pushes more, puts more pressure on that finger, and it actually makes the ball move away from the left-handed hitter. It's a new pitch.
Here is Reed, who hit a 2-run homer his first time right down the left field line.
But it's definitely working, the new pitch.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the result of it is almost like the combination of a fork ball and a screwball.
Yeah, but it's also thrown very hard. I think that's the key. He does everything hard, as you know, we visit to the mound. But if you put pressure on one point, one finger, more pressure on one finger than the other, that's the way the ball will rotate, and that's what he's doing there. Nolan Ryan started throwing a pitch that moved away similarly a couple of years ago, but his was a little slower. His was more of a changeup.
1 ball and no strikes to Jody Reed, hitting 274 now. 2-0 Red Sox ahead, 3rd inning. And ball 2. On deck is Phil Plantier. Well, I know there was a game this spring down in Winter Haven, exhibition game between the Red Sox and the Twins, and Clemens, with 2 strikes, threw a pitch to Kirby Puckett that they said was a split-fingered fastball, and it was registered on the gun at around 87 miles an hour. It broke Kirby's bat, and Kirby stood at the plate and said, "That's not legal." There's another high fly ball, but he didn't pull this one enough. Still rather spacious in that section of Yankee Stadium. Caught by Kelly. 1 away.
That's what happens sometimes when little guys hit a home run. Next time up, they automatically hit the ball in the air.
Well, it's true. I mean, there are some guys who are not home run hitters, and their managers hate to see them hit one.
Right.
Puts them in a slump.
And that happens quite often. Those of you who saw Plantier when he first came up with the Red Sox will notice that he is not nearly in his lower crouch as he was when he originally started. His back was almost straight before. And now he's bent over a little more to the plate and not quite as low.
Plantier was certainly getting noticed in the minor league level, and not just this year, but last year as well. He hit 33 homers at Pawtucket last year. It's a foul straight back. Just got a brief look-see at the end of last year and did not really make much of an impression. Had only 2 hits in 15 at-bats. Phil Plantier, the Red Sox, maybe more than any other team, they continue to produce excellent hitters.
But they are hitters, John, and not to belabor the point, but you need some speed mixed in with your hitters.
That is foul and out of play off to the left. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Look at this ball club today. Guys who came up with the Sox: Boggs, Reed, Plantier, Greenwell, Vaughn. All hitters who came up with the ball club.
But all similar kind of hitters in that they are hitters first and ball players kind of second.
Base hit. Plantier is 2 for 2. Stopping at second is Boggs. Well, all the more reason for them to miss Ellis Burks, because he's one of the few guys with some speed.
Well, Plantier is no doubt in my mind that he is going to hit. He has a pretty solid swing. It looked like a big swing in that he swings hard, but it's really a control swing. See, he's under control right there. He wraps the bat around his back, but he's under real good control. Not much head movement, as you can see. Just a real fine hitter. I think he's going to do a good job in the next few years.
So here is Jack Clark, who struck out his first time on 3 pitches. 2-0 Boston. The Red Sox are threatening to get more here in the 3rd. 2 men on, 1 man out. Plunk got knocked out early in his last start. Strike at the outside. Last Tuesday in Baltimore, he went only 3 into 3rd innings and gave up 5 runs and 6 hits. Mike Devereaux and Cal Ripken hit back-to-back home runs against him. His numbers from last Tuesday. Boggs at second, Plantier at first. Curve is too low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, Jack Clark, we kept talking about it on earlier games this year where we saw the Red Sox on Sunday Night Baseball. He was having a miserable time and had not yet had one of those big weeks where he carried the ball club. Well, eventually he did.
Right.
I mean, he had some huge weeks.
And if he would not have been injured, you know, he was swinging the bat very well at that time, and that throws you off. You can, when you're injured in the middle of the season, everyone else is continuing to reach their peak, and all of a sudden you have to sit out for 9 or 10 days. It's very tough to regain that swing that you had at that particular time.
I tell you what, it seemed like one Tuesday, checking the USA Today American League stats, he had about 12 homers, and
right.
And the next time you checked, he had 20.
Right. And he's got 22. He needs 3 more to become only the second player in the history of the game to hit 25 home runs or more for 5 different teams. Bobby Bonds is the only other player to do that. Well, first of all, you have to get traded a lot. You have to play for 5 different teams, but you also have to be successful with each one of those teams. There you see the graphic.
There's Boggs at second and Plantier at first with 1 out. I guess the reason it hasn't happened much is that guys who are that productive don't go from team to team.
Usually stay around one team for a while.
Tough curveball, and Clark did well to lay off.
Those are the pitches that he was swinging and missing. Remember earlier in the season. Plunk has thrown him 2 excellent breaking balls here. You know, the purpose of a breaking ball is to start it in the strike zone and have it break out, and obviously the hitter chase it. And he has thrown 2 breaking balls that started in the strike zone and just barely broke out, and Clark has been able to hold up. But early in the season, he would have swung at both of those pitches. He was not seeing the ball as well.
Jack Clark, he gets kind of coiled in that stance. Well, he chased it that time. Strike 3.
Another good one. It's obvious that Plunk has confidence against right-handed hitters, but the Red Sox are sending a lot of left-handers after him. See, this is, again, another perfect pitch. It starts as a strike over the outside corner, and then it breaks down and away. Now, watch it starts. Now it's a strike. It's a strike. It's a strike. Now it's not a strike anymore. So you have to have the discipline to lay off of that pitch. But it's hard to do 2 or 3 pitches in a row.
Clark sitting next to the longtime Red Sox trainer Charlie Moss in the dugout there. Here is Greenwell now to try and get the Sox a run. 2 on, 2 out. Tried to backdoor him with a breaking ball. Missed. 1 ball, no strikes. Greenwell with only 9 home runs, which is odd. And yet he has 82 runs batted in.
Well, it's odd for a guy that makes as good a contact, you know, day in and day out as Greenwell does. You'd think he'd hit more home runs just by accident.
And that's a ball. 2-0. Well, I know that he does not take advantage of the wall in Fenway Park. There was a ball game there late last August where he hit the left field wall only because the left fielder blew the play, and they announced that was the first time he had even hit the wall, much less gone over it the whole year. He's mostly a pull hitter, but a line drive hitter.
Well, 2-1. He was trying to impress us right there. This is not your typical line drive swing that he takes on this pitch. This is, see if I can hit the right field porch here. A little late on it, actually. Plunk threw that one by him.
2-1 to Greenwell. Boggs and Plantier ready to go in anything. That's foul. A little late again. 2-2 the count. Greenwell has hit as many as 22 home runs in a season, and then he had the ankle problems the first half of last year and the second half of the year before that kept him really from displaying much power.
John, you bring up a very good point there. Once you have an injury to your hands or your legs, you develop bad habits, and it's very tough to get back to where you were before because your swing changes, and it's very tough to adjust that swing, you know, year in and year out. And especially when you develop something over a year, where you're just slapping at the ball and not driving with your legs. It's very tough to all of a sudden start driving with your legs the next year.
2-2 the count. Popped him up. Third baseman Velarde, the shortstop Espinosa. Velarde. And that ends the inning. So it's pretty good pitching there by Plum to get out of trouble. Yankees have Espinosa, Velarde, and Sachs when we return. The pennant race comes to ESPN big time this week. It's Braves week on Major League Baseball coverage. Tuesday night from Candlestick Park, Dave Justice and the Braves take on Will Clark and the Pacific Stock Exchange. The Giants try and play spoiler. Wednesday, Tom Glavine goes for number 19 as the Braves move down the coast to San Diego. And then Friday, it's the Braves and Dodgers, another big showdown. Justice and Strawberry, Murray and Gant, and that should be a lot of fun. We will keep you tuned into the Braves all week long. Here is Espinosa, base hit to center field. That is the first time in Espinosa's career that he has ever had a base hit against Roger Clemens. He was 0 for 17. Somebody get him that baseball.
As the old saying goes, if you swing at it enough, you'll hit a line drive. So it shows that he's never been actually defeated mentally by Clemens. Line drive right back through the middle. Clemens got the ball in the middle of the plate, and he just lined it straight back through the middle.
Now Randy Velarde, the hitter. Third base has been a problem spot for the Yankees this year. Velarde hitting .261, but they have not gotten much production from the long list of third basemen they have tried over there. 2-0 Red Sox, last of the third.
It's interesting, last week Pat Kelly played second base and Steve Sachs was the DH. We wonder what's going to happen next with the Yankee infield.
Kelly hurt his back, and they had x-rays, and they proved negative.
He hurt his back throwing the guy out. Boggs
said he suffered a strained lumbar area, but he made 3 errors all on throws last Monday in Baltimore, and admitted afterward. Reed gets the lead runner, Espinosa, who then came in hard on Rivera.
And look at Rivera, how he's looking at him. And I don't blame him. There was obviously not going to be a double play attempt on that ball. So there's really no reason for him to go after Rivera. At least that's what Rivera is thinking. And you see Jody Reed looking at it the same way. And make no mistake about it, infielders never forget. See, he's out plenty of time. Look how far he goes out of his way to get Rivera.
That's good hard baseball, Joe.
No, that's not good hard baseball. Good hard baseball is breaking up a double play.
All right. It's because the Red Sox and Yankees.
Oh, dislike each other.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll accept that. Because there was definitely not a double play attempt there.
Espinosa went in and said to Rivera, that's because you're a Red Sox. Here's Steve Sachs. 1 for 1. And it's a ball outside. Sachs singled his first time. He's hitting .304 now. 2-0 Red Sox ahead, last of the third. Roger Clemens with 3 strikeouts in the first 2 innings. He's given up 2 hits, both singles. 1 out, Velarde at first, in the third. And the breaking ball, a strike on the outside. Joe, we're talking about Pascual Perez between innings, the Yankee right-hander. There's Pascual. And with this new ruling about actually defining what is a no-hitter, he lost one. He'd had a rain-shortened no-hitter a few years back.
Well, John, the baseball statistical accuracy committee decided that there were a lot of no-hitters that would no longer be considered no-hitters, and Pascual Perez's was one of those. But his comment was, now it's too late to take it away from me. He said, I have the tape and I have the ball. I'll keep my no-hitter in my heart. So the statistical committee took it away in the record books, but he said you can't take it away from him in his heart. But I'm a little bit surprised at some of the decisions they arrived at. First of all, you know, Harvey Haddix now does not have a no-hitter, and he pitched 12 perfect innings of no-hit baseball, and it is not considered to be a no-hitter. I mean, I don't know what else you can do.
Inside, and it is 2-1 now to Sachs. Bertie Williams on deck. Well, Personally, now, I agree with that. I mean, you can pitch 12 shutout innings, and if you give up a run in the 13th, you don't get credit for a shutout. You can pitch, as Warren Spahn did, 15 shutout innings and give up a home run to Willie Mays in the 16th, and you don't get a shutout. I think it's consistent. The thing I disagree with is Andy Hawkins pitching a complete game no-hitter in Chicago last year, losing 4-0, and they have taken his no-hitter away. Now, to me, that was a complete 9-inning game.
Well, it was a complete game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that game went 9 innings.
Yeah.
And there was no rain. We're not talking extra innings where he gave up a hit later. He pitched in a complete 9-inning game, and he had a complete game, therefore no hitter. I think they erred on that ruling.
One of the, I really find myself wondering why all this had to go become about anyway.
Well, you know, there was some questions because it had actually never been defined. I mean, the record books have always listed both.
But there are probably other things that haven't been defined either. You know, as easily to understand as that. So I guess what I'm saying, if it's not broken, why are we trying to fix it?
Well, it's also my understanding, though, that the record books will continue to list, for instance, the rain-shortened no-hitter by Pascual Perez, not as a no-hitter, but as a notable achievement.
Well, I guess the other part of it was they removed the asterisk from Roger Maris's name, which was never there anyway, but I guess they removed it, you know, and I don't understand that either. Actually, in my opinion, there should have never been an asterisk there.
Oh, great breaking ball from Clemens to strike out Sachs. That was a monster.
Well, Sachs hit a fastball back through the middle the first time up, and we talked about him being a good fastball hitter. Well, Roger Clemens has the answer for that. He throws a good breaking ball, good curveball away, and again, it starts in the strike zone, and it breaks out of the strike zone.
Now that is a pitch that has some bite to it. 2 down. Here is Bernie Williams. He grounded a second his first time. 2-0. Boston ahead last of the third, and that is ball 1. Well, what had been in the record book about Maris and Ruth was that Maris owned the record for most home runs in a season in a 162-game schedule, and Ruth had it in the 154-game schedule, and now apparently it's just a matter of Maris is the all-time record holder, which, and I agree with you, hey, who has hit more homers in one season than any other player? And it's Roger Maris.
I mean, first of all, there, as we see the retired uniform of Roger Maris,
a strike.
You have to be consistent if you're going to put an asterisk by his number of home runs. You have to say that, well, Pete Rose had more at-bats than Ty Cobb, and Hank Aaron had more at-bats than Babe Ruth. You know, I mean, a career is a career. You know, a season is a season.
I mean, the record for a season speaks for itself, and Maris has the record for a single season. Ball is fouled away.
And a career is a career. Most home runs in a career, you know.
But Maris, in some ways, I mean, 61 home runs in a single season, in some ways, is even more astonishing because he had the time period. Right? I mean, Pete Rose was astonishing as well, but it was also a tribute to his longevity. Down the left field line, this could be trouble. It's in there, base hit. It will roll to the wall. Here comes Velarde around third. Greenwell with a relay. Here comes Rivera's throw. Safe. Backed up by Clemens. Stopping at second is Williams. 2-1 Boston. Mattingly coming up.
Well, Bernie Williams takes it and hits a line drive down the left field line. And because the alleys are so big here, you do not guard the line. So the outfielders are farther away. They're over in right center and left center. By the time Greenwell picks the ball up out of the corner, Velarde is about to slide across the plate. And Clemens backing up the play keeps Bernie Williams from advancing to third base.
Bernie Williams with his 16th double of the year. Pretty good piece of hitting there by Bernie.
Very good piece of hitting. I mean, anytime you get a base hit off Roger Clemens, it's good hitting.
By definition.
Yeah, that's the definition of good hitting.
Well, now here is Mattingly with a chance to tie this game. Mattingly flying to shallow center on really just a pop-up his first time. One appealing for a swing is Tony Pena, and Gary Cederstrom, the third base umpire, says, hey, you didn't even ask me on that.
Roger Clemens is 7-1 here in Yankee Stadium, and you can see why. Most pitchers come in here and they fear the left-handed hitters hitting the ball on the porch in right field, so they try to stay away. Roger Clemens, being as good a power pitcher as he is, he comes right inside on their fist and keeps them from pulling the ball. See, he has pitched all the left-handers that we have seen inside. He struck out Noakes inside. He even pitched Mel Hall inside before striking him out away. He struck out Moss with 3 pitches inside. And the first 2 pitches here again to Mattingly have been inside. And there you see 7-1 here because he can go right after him. He doesn't have to change his style to pitch in Yankee Stadium.
2-0 automatically. Mel Hall is on deck. Base hit could tie the game. Williams at second. He's a very fast runner. High, lazy fly to right. Plantier in for it. And Mattingly is unable to get him home. The Yanks get a run, though. It'll be Vaughn, Lyons, and Pena when we return. 2-1 Boston. New York, New York. It's a wonderful town. The Bronx is up, the Battery's down. The people ride through a hole in the ground. New York, New York. It's a hell of a town. Here's Mo Vaughn, and he pops it up. Alvaro Espinosa goes out, but coming in and calling for it is Roberto Kelly. The wind was blowing that one around a little bit, and Vaughn is retired. Looked like it would have been an easier play for Espinosa.
Yeah, but the outfielder Kelly took charge. Remember, Kelly was a center fielder before. And he's not happy about playing left field either, we might add.
Well, he was a pretty good center fielder.
Yeah, and he's wondering why he's now in left. He said, if they proved to me I couldn't play center field, then I'd gladly move to left. Said no one has proved that to me yet.
Well, apparently, they're not saying he can't do it. They just apparently like the way Williams plays center. Left field in Yankee Stadium is a little different, too. I mean, it's the biggest left field in baseball, and you need somebody with a center fielder's ability to play out there. That's foul. Ricky Henderson moved over there when he came to Yankee Stadium. Dave Winfield played there the first few years he was here. Joe, we're talking about the no-hitters again. And in Red Sox history, there was a rather fabled perfect game that is no longer. Look out. 1-1. Babe Ruth started the ball game.
Oh, yeah.
1917. He walked the first hitter, became incensed with the umpire, argued, and got thrown out. Ernie Shore came in and inherited the ball game, and the runner who was aboard when he came in got thrown out trying to steal, and then Shore retired everybody else for the rest of the day. And that's a ball outside. So he was given credit for a no-hitter and a perfect game because a reliever gets credit for facing a hitter and retiring him when the man gets caught stealing. So under the rules, he faced 27 hitters and retired all of them. Lyons hits it deep into right center. Way back. And this one is out of here. Steve Lyons with some surprising power. 3-1 Boston, his 4th home run of the year.
There's Stump Mitchell. He's not real Merrill, I'm sorry, is not too happy about it. What you'll see here is Lyons gets the barrel of the bat out in front. That gets more carry on the ball. If you hit the ball in front of the plate, watch, right out in front. See how he got good extension on it, and the barrel of the bat makes contact in front of the plate. That's how you get carry on the ball.
Here is Pena, who had an infield hit his first time. 1 ball and no strikes. So the Yankees scratch and claw for a run against Clemens, and then the Red Sox get it right back. All of the Red Sox runs as a result of home runs. Reed, a 2-run first inning shot. And the man that they used to call Psycho, Steve Lyons, a colorful character. He goes deep. Started his career in Boston. Did Lyons, then as a curveball misses. 2-1. Went to the White Sox, and it was interesting. He was always kind of a role player, although in Chicago was a time when he played almost on a regular basis at second base. And with the Red Sox, he was always used more as an outfielder, and he is again.
I don't know if we can give him the credit for a big fly, though. It didn't get into the seats where the people sit.
Well, and
it's over the inner fence.
Wouldn't have been a home run in the old days.
Right, that's what I mean. So we can't give him a big fly. We'll give him a home run.
And he's got 4 homers this year, Joe. That's a mighty swing, 3 and 2. 2 of them in about a week's time were fly balls that went to the wall, and the outfielder, I know Robin Yount was one of them, reached up and caught it and dropped it over the wall. Twice it happened. Talk about miraculous.
Yeah. Well, to happen to one guy. Kevin Bass did that the other day with Harold Morris. Hit a fly ball, jumped up, caught it, and flipped it over the fence when he was coming down.
3 and 2 to Pena. 3-1. Boston ahead in the 4th. Right to Sachs. We're looking at the Red Sox trying to catch the Toronto Blue Jays in the American League East. Here are the current standings after Oakland defeated Toronto today 10-5. Milwaukee defeated Detroit despite the Cecil Fielder home run. Tigers remain 5.5 out, and the time is running short for Detroit. But for Boston, only 3 back in the loss side, and with a win, that's where they'll stay tonight. And they are leading back of Clemens 3-1. And Joe, you mentioned as Rivera fouls one back 0-1. You mentioned Clemens 7-1 in Yankee Stadium. 1987. There was a game here where he did not get the loss, but he was ahead 10-0 and did not get the win. And the Red Sox were unable to hold that lead. Eventually lost the game by some ridiculous score like 13-12 or something. Of course, the Yankees in '87, that was the team of Ricky Henderson, Willie Randolph, fully healthy Don Mattingly, Winfield. They had some sluggers. Pagliarulo was hitting home runs at that time. Popped up foul and out of play. 1-2 to Rivera. Rick Plunk, 2 home runs allowed in this ball game. He's given up now 18 in 92 2/3 innings. Oh, a 55-foot curveball.
He got a piece of Noakes too. Looked like it bounced up and hit him on the right side. Well, he got his right hand maybe. Well, he got him on the right arm. Watch, it's a breaking ball and he goes over to block it. Well, he sticks his arm down there and it hits it on his arm, hits him on his arm. You know, most catchers will tell you if there's no one on base, I'm not going to block that pitch. You know, just try to knock it down or something. He got his whole body over in front of it and he put his right arm between his legs, and that's exactly what he did. He blocked it with his right arm.
Three and 2 now. Wade Boggs would be next. We're in the 4th inning, 3-1. Red Sox ahead. Luis Rivera, he's been playing hurt. Going out as Mattingly, but it drops in amongst the spectators. 3 and 2.
Take another look at Noakes blocking the pitch. Now watch his right hand, the one without the glove on it. Watch it. Look how he does with it. He puts it down between his legs and it hits him right above, you know, the right forearm. That's painful. A 90+ mile-an-hour pitch bounces and hits you there. You know, a lot of people may not even think about this, but that's one of the reasons over the years that catchers have not been great hitters. They have so many aches and pains throughout the year that it takes away from their hitting.
Bernie Williams, that's the wrong place to hit it in this ballpark, even if you have power. That is the inning. The Yankees will have Mel Hall, Roberto Kelly, and Matt Noakes trailing 3-1.
Budweiser takes us to Atlanta, where Ramon Martinez, 7-1 lifetime against the Braves, but he'd been struggling as of late, and his struggles continue today. first inning, bases loaded. Sin Bream with the grand slam, second of his career. Martinez lasted only 2 innings. Braves lead the Dodgers by a game and a half. Back to John and Joe.
Pretty good weekend for the Atlanta Braves to take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, and they'll be right back at it with the Dodgers next week. Pretty tough road trip. The Giants have been struggling, but they've got some great talent, and then they have to go to San Diego, and San Diego's put together a pretty good year. They throw some pretty tough pitching at you, as well as guys like Gwynn and McGriff and Fernandez and company, Darren Jackson. And then to Dodger Stadium. This could be the make-or-break week for the Atlanta Braves.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, John. This will be the make-or-break week for them. I mean, there are several ways they can come out of it. Obviously, they can add to their lead or just hold what they have, or they can be destroyed, you know, by having a poor road trip. So this is a very important week for them.
Mel Hall, the hitter, and Clemens throws him a strike, going 1. 3-1. Boston leading, last of the 4th. Well, remember when we saw the Dodgers and the Braves on Sunday Night Baseball, June the 30th? I mean, it had to be the Braves' worst game of the year. They made 6 errors, probably should have been charged with more. And the Dodgers just ran away with it. Smoltz lost it. He couldn't beat anybody. And the Dodgers, with that win, had taken 3 out of 4 from them. And it looked like the Braves were dead.
And the Dodgers were cruising at that time.
When the Dodgers won that ball game, June the 30th, they were 7.5 up on Atlanta. And then even further ahead of them by the All-Star break. At the break, the Dodgers were 9.5 ahead of the Braves. Now they trailed them by 1.5. That's 11-game turnaround since the All-Star break.
Well, it was actually quicker than that, because remember, the Dodgers lost 9 in a row, and Atlanta won like 7 in a row, so they closed the gap very quickly.
It almost cost them within 9 or 10 days of the break. 3-1 the count, and nobody knows that better than the Dodgers and Braves, that can happen, because when was it? 1983. The Dodgers were way ahead by about 11. And incredibly, like 12 days later, the Braves were ahead of them. Into left center field. That one, I think, is going to be in there, and it is, into Death Valley. Now Hall to second, turns the corner, and he'll hold. He is not running well with that bad back.
I was watching Mel Hall, and that was a double from the time that he hit it. It was not going to be a triple. I mean, he knows that his back is bothering him, and the pain will catch up to him before he could get to third base. So, smart play by Mel Hall. He just takes his fastball from Clemens and runs away, and he goes to left center field with it. And Lyons in center and Greenwell in left, neither one of them really closed the gap on that ball.
Now that area out there in left center, 399 feet. Of course, at one time it was 457 feet out there. Right up the middle, base hit into center field. Here comes Hall. Showalter waves him home. He'll score without a throw, and it's back to a 1-run game. 3-2 Boston.
Roger Clemens' fastball, to me, is more effective when it's up than when it's down. And you see the low target there, and the ball is down, and it's grounded back through the middle. A power pitcher is usually more effective up and out of the strike zone, getting hitters to chase the high fastball, getting them to chase high pitches.
Now, Roberto Kelly can come after you many ways. He hits for power. In the past, he's hit for average, but not this year. He's had a wrist problem. But Kelly has stolen 24 bases this year.
Well, he and Steve Sachs are the speed on the Yankee ball club.
Fouled back by Noakes. Pretty good cut, though. He struck out his first time. The Sachs has 28 steals. Roberto Kelly 24. Even though Roberto missed about 7 weeks' time with that wrist injury. He's an enormous talent, Roberto Kelly. I mean, he runs well. He can hit with power. He can hit for average. Frank Howard, the hitting instructor, thinks that he's going to evolve into a 25 to 30 homer a year man.
Well, on top of that, he can play good defense in the outfield. John, it'd be interesting for me to see how Clemens goes after Noakes here. First time up, he went after him inside with fastballs. Now he doesn't want him to hit the hole over there, and he's throwing a pitch away.
There goes Kelly. He's in there easily. Number 25 for Roberto Kelly.
Well, it's a good pitch that he chooses to steal on. It's that turned over pitch. It goes down and away from the hitter, but it's all. Let's see how good a jump he gets. Not a great jump there. Clemens was already at the top of his motion before he took off, but because it was a low pitch, Pena could not come up firing as he would have liked.
Now just a base hit could tie the game. They're really loaded up on the right side, playing Noakes to pull. Ball 2. Kevin Moss is on deck. Well, Matt Noakes has that tailor-made swing for this ballpark and the place he used to play, Tiger Stadium.
But again, it's tough for some hitters to keep the inside pitch fair. They will pull it foul, and that's what Roger Clemens is banking on against these left-handers.
And he came inside with a breaking ball and indeed pulled foul by Matt Noakes.
Well, what happens is if the ball's inside, you have a tendency to turn and roll over with your top hand and pull it foul. If the ball's out over the plate, you extend to the ball and you can keep it fair. That's why most hitters like the ball out over the plate. They can extend their arms and move the ball around. You have to really pull hard with your bottom hand to keep the inside pitch fair. You have to, like, pull it through. You can't roll your top hand over.
Now, Roger Clemens looking vulnerable. Last 2 innings, he has allowed 4 hits and 2 runs. There's nobody out in this inning with a runner at second. 2-2 the count. Curveball, that is pulled foul.
But when he keeps, the ball inside, it's going to be hard for Noakes to keep it fair because, first of all, you respect Roger Clemens' fastball in there, so you have to say, I have to be quick. I'm going to be quick on the pitch inside. And obviously, if you're quick on the pitch inside, you're going to pull it foul in most cases.
Three and 2.
It's interesting. Roger Clemens, had not shown that pitch very often. The one that we're talking about goes down and away. He's thrown it early in the game and gotten a couple of strikeouts. Now the hitters have seen it, and we've seen Noakes lay off of it here with 2 strikes because they have seen that pitch now.
Full count to Noakes. Four ball driven into right center field, base hit. This will tie it up. Kelly will score easily. Plantier into second. 3-3.
Well, that was a good call, John. You called a fork ball, and that's what it was, but it was out over the plate. And he was able to extend and drive it into right center field. But again, we're talking about speed, what it does. Kelly stole that run. See where the pitch is? It's out away from him, about the middle of the plate. It's down, so it's a good pitch, except that Noakes is such a good low ball hitter that it is not a good pitch.
Well, that brings up the question. I mean, when you got Roger Clemens kind of stuff,
yeah,
it's almost like you're doing him a favor there, aren't you?
Well, there was definitely a favor in Noakes' mind there because he's a low ball hitter. That's a situation where you probably go with the high fastball.
I mean, it's not only low, but it's a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Now here is Kevin Moss, and he knows to do with that low pitch, too. Popped this one up. First ball swing, the ball was up.
And it was in.
And Rivera takes it. And that is the first out of the inning. 3-3. And in New England and all around the nation, Red Sox faithful a bit worried now. Clemens looking very vulnerable tonight.
He struck Moss out with 3 pitches inside the first time up. He comes right back inside. Moss is looking for the ball inside, but he cannot get to it.
Now Alvaro Espinosa. He got something started in the third when he singled to center. He did not score the run. He was forced out by Velarde, but Velarde scored the run. 3-3. Now there's a rule that could be changed by the rules committee. Maybe you and I can get on this committee. Why should the guy who hit into a forced play get credit
for the run score?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, he made an out.
Yeah. And the other guy who got the base hit is erased, right?
Yeah. I mean, Velarde looks great, scored the run.
Yeah.
Well, Espinosa did all the work.
Huh?
Yeah.
So if we're going to set the record straight, might as well set them all straight.
That's right. That's what you were talking about. There are other questions.
Yeah, a lot of other questions. You know, the stolen base, for instance, when they call it fielder's indifference. How do they know when a guy doesn't throw what his thinking was? You know, maybe just felt like he couldn't throw the runner out. Or the manager decided that he did not want to throw to second base for a certain reason in that situation.
There goes Noakes. Base hit. And the ball is cut off. Noakes safely to third. Espinosa, who had never had a hit against Clemens, is 2 for 2 against him tonight. 3-3 with a 1 out.
Well, obviously Espinosa's gotten his confidence now because they put a hit and run on. Something that probably has not happened very often with him hitting against Clemens. It's a hit and run play. Pitches out away from him. You can see the concentration that he uses. It keeps his head still and just kind of slices the ball to the right side. Lyons comes up, and he actually had a shot at Noakes because he doesn't run that well, but his throw was offline and they had to cut it off.
Yeah, if Burks is out there, maybe they nail it.
Right, because if the throw is on line, they had a shot at Noakes.
Here is Velarde. Well, he hit into a fielder's choice, a bounding ball to second. If he could do the same thing here, it would put the Yankees ahead. There's at first and third, a slider for a strike on the outside. 3-3 in the fourth, and the Boston bullpen is going to get busy. Clemens, as the left-hander Matt Young is getting up, along with the right-hander Dennis Lamp out there. And it's a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, Clemens right now just looks very hittable, rather obviously. He had pitched 232 in the third innings before tonight and allowed only 183 hits. He's given up 7 hits tonight and 3 in the third innings.
What I see missing is the dominance with the high fastball. If we think back, you have not seen anyone swing at a high fastball. He has not used that. And a power pitcher's best pitch is a fastball up and out of the strike zone. But we have not seen him do that. He is pitching down, and he has not been as successful as he has been his last 4 starts.
Base hit, and the Yankees have gone ahead. Rounding second, Espinosa. He'll go to third. 4-3 New York. Still only 1 out. 3 runs are in, and we're going to the top of the batting order.
The pitching coach Fisher's going out to talk to Roger Clemens.
And Yankee Stadium is beside itself here.
Well, here's Clemens' pitch, and again it's a pitch that's down. And it's hit on the ground. You know, they keep the ball in the ballpark this way by keeping the ball down, but if you're a power pitcher, they're going to hit a lot of ground balls and maybe a few soft liners that will go through, as we see here. And moving on around to third is Espinosa. And runners at first and third. They're actually just switching places here.
There's the Boston bullpen again. Lamp, the right-hander. Matt Young, the left-hander. Steve Sachs is coming up here. The Yanks have 3 home. They have 4 runs and 7 hits against Clemens in the last 1 1/3 innings. The last 11 hitters he's faced, he's allowed 7 hits. Now, in his last 4 starts, Joe, and you mentioned it earlier, he went 9 innings each time.
Right.
Little wear and tear in the arm this late in the season. He leads the major leagues in innings pitched.
Yes. Well, that was going to be my next point. Maybe he doesn't feel like he has as good a fastball as he's had the last 3 or 4 outings. Therefore, he wants to keep the ball down. If he felt he had a better fastball, maybe he would use the overpowering fastball up.
Back safely, Velarde. He was not fooled. 4-3, the Yankees ahead. Now, these have not been the best of times for the Yankees. They ended an 8-game losing streak just yesterday amidst rumors of the imminent firing of their manager, Stump Merrill. And the slider misses. 1 ball and no strikes as Espinosa leads from third and Velarde from first. Vaughn on the bag with him. Also, the last 6 weeks or so, numerous anonymous digs at Stump Merrill's managing from different players. And the Yankees, who were so exciting there before the All-Star break, they did that a lot. As you see, Buck Showalter, who was often mentioned and has been often mentioned in the papers as being perhaps the successor to Stump Merrill. But the Yankees getting it done tonight. And that one could be two. It is. Nicely turned at second by Jody Reed to double up the Speedy Sachs. 4-3 though. Top of the order for Boston. The Yanks have turned this one around against Roger Clemens. 4-3 Yankees. Could have been worse though.
Well, John, as the test of a good shortstop is going in the hole and displaying his arm, the test of a good second baseman is turning the double play, a tough one, with a runner at third base and first base to end the inning. And Jody Reed comes through with flying colors there. He got rid of the ball very quickly from a low throw.
If he does not get the Speedy Sachs at first, Yanks have another run on the board. Here is Wade Boggs. Top of the order for Boston. And Plunk throws him a strike. Now, here's Plunk, who's given up 3 runs in 5 innings in the first 3 runs and 5 hits in the first 4 innings. And he has a lead for the first time. Boggs has walked twice and scored a run. Sachs, easy play, 1 away.
So he finally retires Boggs anyway.
Finally threw him a strike.
Yeah. Well, he changed his pattern. Instead of throwing fastballs first pitch, he threw breaking balls and he got them over.
Eric Plunk. By the way, Boggs now 0 for 1. Julio Franco, the American League's leading hitter at the start of the day, averaging .341 for Texas, did not play today against Minnesota. Boggs came into the day hitting .335 second. Molitor .330 in third. He went 0 for 4 against the Tigers. And Reed takes a strike. Rafael Palmeiro hitting .326 at the start of the day, went 1 for 4. Frank Thomas hitting .327, went 1 for 5. And Kirby Puckett hitting .326 did not play.
I saw a great story today about Rafael Palmeiro and his brother that is still in Cuba. Him and his 2 other younger brothers were brought out of Cuba when he was 6 years old. And his oldest brother had to stay because he was getting close to military age. And they did a great story on how he has followed his exploits, and his brother's kind of like the guy in that town. He teaches kids how to play baseball. And he was born without a left hand, similar to Jim Abbott. And he does the exact same things, you know, on the field that Jim Abbott does. You know, changes the ball and changes the glove and so forth. And it was a very heartwarming story. They showed, you know, Palmeiro had not seen him for 20 years. Never saw him, you know, in those 20 years. And they put him on videotape, and it was very, I thought it was great. And I said to myself, that may be enough inspiration for Palmeiro to go out and win the American League batting championship. His brother was very proud of him, and he told him it was a great story.
And 2 to Reed, and he's got a base hit. So Jody Reed is 2 for 3. Plantier is coming up. Well, they had both of them seeing the other by videotape.
You saw it, huh?
I did.
Great.
I saw it on This Week in Baseball.
Oh, yeah, that's where I saw it. It was very great. It was great.
And Palmeiro, when he saw his brother, and he had not seen him since Rafael was 6 years old, and he saw his brother playing catch wearing a Texas Rangers cap, and he asked the television people, said, did you guys give him that hat? And they said, no, he already had it.
But he also had a Rafael Palmeiro T-shirt.
That's right.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how he got him.
And Rafael was very touched by that.
Right.
They spoke to each other via videotape, and now they're hopeful that his brother will be able to get a visa to come to the United States and actually see his brother.
That was great.
Plantier 2 for 2 in the ball game. Takes ball 1. His batting average right now is .390. He's only had 82 at bats, but most of them in the pennant race, that's right when you'd like to see him hitting .390 if you're with the Red Sox. You know, Boggs did that 1982 when he finally got his break, and he was already 26. But Carney Lansford was the third baseman, and he did not play until Carney got hurt.
Right.
Carney injured his ankle and missed about a month. They stuck Boggs in there, and he hit over 400 for the month. I mean, sometimes guys say, well, they don't give me an opportunity, I don't play regularly. On the other side of that, there's when you get the opportunity, making the most of it, as is Plantier now, as Boggs did then.
Right.
Bullpen activity for the Yankees now. Ball and a strike. 1 out, 1 on. There's a high drive, but it appears playable for Hall, and it is. 2 down. Reed back to first. Earlier today, Jack Clark went up to see his car race. It is the Ripper.
And it's ripping.
Mike Brumley and Mike Greenwell also went up there. Tom the Mongoose McEwen is the driver.
Know him well.
They won the first heat, but they lost in a photo finish by 8 inches to the eventual winner, Joe Amato, in the second heat. Jack says he wants to drive himself when his baseball days are over.
Well, not too long ago, he fired all of the crew members. He said, hey, I own the team. They're not doing what I want. I fired them all. I said, okay, Jack. Said he felt like an owner.
Well, he did have that.
Team.
He did have that 1 year with the Yankees. 2 down. Foul and out of play. 1 strike to Clark. We've got Lee Guterman, the left-hander, warming up in the Yankees bullpen. All 6 feet 8 inches of him. 2 down in the top of the 5th. Boston is trailing 4-3. They'd like to see Jack hit a big fly here. Reed at first, ready to go on anything here with 2 down. That's out of play. We asked Jack Clark before the ball game about his drag racing team.
Jack Clark Racing. We got a top field drag, so we're about number 6 or 7 in the nation right now in the point standings, and we missed a couple races, had some crew changes, and being the owner manager, I get to make the decisions that I can't hear on the field, which I'd like to a lot of times. So when I felt it was time to make a decision, I changed people, and it's worked out well for everybody, and the car is doing really well.
High fly ball into right center. Now Hall, and Clark is down. I said it worked out well for everybody.
Including the guys he fired, or what?
Speak for yourself, Jack. Yankees have Bernie Williams, Mattingly, and a Hall, leading 4-3. We're talking college football, and what Nelly, co-defending national champion Georgia Tech meets Virginia in live college football Thursday night at 8 Eastern on ESPN. Don't miss it. Georgia Tech. Ken Swilling switched from free to strong safety. I think that's been a key for them, Joe. In Virginia, Matt Blunden replaces Sean Moore. And the tailback for Virginia, Terry Kirby, rushed for an ACC best last year. That'll be 8 o'clock Thursday on ESPN. Here's Bernie Williams. He really got the Yankees comeback going back in the 3rd as he takes ball 1. They were trailing 2-0 when, with 2 down and a runner at first, Williams doubled into the left field corner. So he is 1 for 2 against the Rocket. 4-3. The Yankees are ahead, and Clemens trying to rebound here. Knocked him up. Left fielder Mike Greenwell. And there is 1 away. Mattingly comes up. You see the Yankee Stadium field on 339, 399, I beg your pardon, to deep left center. Not even the Astrodome or Busch Stadium in St. Louis that deep. But of course at Yankee Stadium it used to be a whole lot deeper. Mattingly into center field. Starting back, but now holding his ground, Lyons. And 2 men are gone just like that. Mattingly is 0 for 3 and his slump continues. This is the new look Yankee Stadium. 318 down the left field line. 314 to right. Still friendly if you can pull it. 399 to left center. 408 to center. And 385 to right center. And Joe, you wonder, let's say they were able to acquire a free agent left-hander such as Frank Viola, just for the sake of argument. Could be wise to move those fences out again in left center. You know, left-handers in this ballpark like Whitey Ford, Ron Guidry had great success over the years. Guys could pull the ball out there to left center and get nothing for it.
Well, but I mean, any pitcher is going to be more successful in a bigger ballpark. It doesn't matter whether it's Viola or anyone else. I mean, a bigger ballpark means more outs.
Well, Clemens only had to throw 5 pitches in this inning. Red Sox have Greenwell, Vaughn, and Lyons trailing 4-3. And what will be a trip to New York City without seeing the famed Radio City Music Hall? And look there, Joe. I see Aretha Franklin's name in that marquee.
Yeah.
Count me in.
Yes.
Get me a ticket, would you? There's ball 1 to Mike Greenwell. Unfortunately for Joe and I, on our visits to these many cities, it just all work and no play.
All work.
Come to town, hit the books, little room service. Hold all the phone calls. Greenwell fouls it back. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Today is the first day I did get out this year. I went out, I had lunch with Howard Cosell. You know, the guy that you imitate every once in a while?
Yes, that's the one I was talking about.
I had lunch with him today, and I really enjoyed it a lot. We had a great time. Talked about baseball as usual. Talked about people, baseball, and everything else. And very enlightening to sit and talk to Howard. I've talked to him, you know, a lot over the years, but I really enjoyed sitting with him today.
Greenwell lifts a fly ball into left. There is Roberto Kelly. And there is 1 away. Well, you won't find Howard Cosell's bust out there, but here at Yankee Stadium, their storied past is represented in what they call Monument Park. And there is Babe Ruth. 714 homers. Miller Huggins, he was the manager of those great Murderers Row Ball clubs in the late to mid-20s. And, of course, Lou Gehrig.
That is a great tribute, you know, to all those great players, having something like that in the ballpark. The first time I came to Yankee Stadium, the first thing I did was run out of the dugout and run all the way out to see the monuments in center field. To me, that's what Yankee Stadium was all about.
The outfield here used to be so deep that the monuments that were there at the time were on the field of play. Vaughn drives 1 out into shallow left center. Roberto Kelly. See, a lot of room to cover out there if you're a left fielder. 2 men gone in the 6th inning. And Plunk continues to get fly ball outs in this game. He's pitched 5 2/3 innings, and most of the outs have come via balls hit in the air. You see it. Only 1 ground out. So I would say, Joe, he's what they call a fly ball pitcher.
Well, he throws a lot of high fastballs. That is why. He does not get the ball down. He doesn't throw a sinking fastball.
He's had 3 strikeouts. There's been a ground out. And, of course, 1 man was caught stealing, Tony Pena. There have also been 2 home runs. A couple of fly balls made it out of the yard. Mattingly calls off sacks. And the game is really speeding along now. We go to the last of the 6th. Roberto Kelly, Matt Noakes, and Kevin Moss, 4-3 Yanks. October the 2nd, 1978. The Yankees went to Boston for a 1-game playoff to determine the American League Eastern Division champion. The Yankees had their ace, Ron Guidry, 25-3 for the year in the mound, and all of Boston showed up, it seemed. But it was the Red Sox who were ahead 2-0 into the 6th. When
deep to left. Yastrzemski will not get its home run. A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
the Yankees won the game, they had trailed the Red Sox by 14 games as late as July 19th that year. They won the American League Eastern Division Championship and went on and won the World Series that year. And in Boston forever thereafter, Bucky Dent has been known as Bucky Bleeping Dent. Here's the pitch to Roberto Kelly. It's a strike, 0-1.
Or the voice in the background describing that was National League President Bill White. Al Rosen, who was then with the Yankees, was in the first row. Now general manager and vice president and president of the Giants.
2 strikes to Kelly. Kelly is flied out, and he singled home a run in the 4th, stole a base, and scored the tying run of the game later. 4-3 Yanks ahead, last of the 6th. That game, so many aspects of that game were memorable, and perhaps the most memorable was Lou Piniella playing the Sun field, which at Fenway is right field, somehow stopping a one-hopper that he had lost in the Sun. Could have turned the whole game around. Struck him out. Foul tipped. Kelly 1 for 3. That is the 5th strikeout for Clemens. We are in the last of the 6th inning from Yankee Stadium. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan, close personal friend of Howard Cosell. 4-3, the Yanks leading last of the 6th inning. Boston had jumped ahead 2-0, but the Yanks got a run in the 3rd. Boston got one in the 4th to lead 3-1. But then the Yanks got 3 in the last of the 4th to lead 4-3. And they still are last of the 6th. Here is Noakes. He has struck out and he has singled home a run. 4-3 New York. A strike. The Blue Jays lost today 10-5 to Oakland. And the Red Sox with a win would move back to within 3.5. But there's the rub. Getting the win. Look out. It hit him. Now Clemens is walking over toward first base.
I have
The
never.
Yankees are coming out of the dugout.
I have never seen that before.
He didn't just get hit by the pitch, he caught it.
And then he fired it back at Clemens. I have never seen that before.
Now players from both teams have come out, and here comes the players, or here come the players from the bullpens. There you see them.
Why don't they just hang out in the bullpen and fight out there?
That's right.
Why would they all come in here?
Why run in the why not just fight out
If you're
there?
going to fight the other team, just fight out in the bullpen. Why are you going to? They're all going to run in here and fight, I guess. The funny thing about this, John, is that when Noakes threw the ball back to Clemens, it shocked him. So Clemens just caught it. And then he said, what did he do? And then he realized what had happened. So, you know, he decided he was going to take it a little further than that. And he hasn't forgotten it.
Now Clemens is still talking to him from the mound.
Yeah.
He is hollering over at Noakes, who's hollering right back. And first base umpire Hendry trying to cool things down. The plate umpire Rick Reed at the mound with Clemens.
Well, being perfectly honest with you, I think Clemens is right in this case. First of all, if Noakes has a complaint, you know, you don't take it out by throwing the ball back. He has to complain to the umpire or someone. But, you know, I understand that. I mean, he fired the ball at Clemens intentionally. And now, unless you're going to say Clemens threw the ball at him intentionally, well, then Noakes is wrong. But I do understand. Getting hit with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball in the ribs is not a pleasant experience. Now, here's the pitch. And it gets him in the ribs, and it actually lodges between his elbow and his wrist. But see, now he fires it back. And Clemens is surprised there. I mean, he's probably never had that done before either. Well, see, the ball is between his elbow and his ribs, and he just holds it there. There you see it being taken out. And he fires it back at him.
And they're doing the fabled Boston cheer at Yankee Stadium from back in those halcyon days of 77 and 78.
I don't know if Noakes wants to get into a throwing contest with Roger Clemens, though. Clemens throws a little harder than he does.
Well, the thing is, when Noakes is up there, he doesn't have a glove.
Exactly.
Well, this is where I disagree with you, Joe, because I think Roger's wearing a glove. It was no problem. He threw out. Well, he's got a glove on. He knows how to catch the ball.
But he was not expected. Well, I guess Noakes wasn't expected either, was he?
I mean, I think that Noakes, and I'm not condoning it.
Right, right.
I agree with you that he was wrong.
Yeah.
But he got hit.
And
it
he reacted.
And there's the ball. The ball's never there. The ball bounces away.
Yeah.
He had the ball, and he just said, the heck with it. Here. Right? But Roger had the glove up. He didn't get hurt. It's just colorful, that's all.
Yeah.
That's foul. I remember when Campy Campaneris got hit in the 72 playoffs by Laren LeGros in the foot and got up and threw his bat at Laren LeGros.
I remember that. He felt like they were throwing at his legs intentionally because he had stolen a few bases. But this is interesting. This season I've seen more things happen than ever in my 20 years. Things that I'd never seen in 20 years I played. Guys not scoring from third on base hits to right field. All those types of things.
And the curve is fouled. 1-2 to Moss, who is 0 for 2.
Now,
well, this feels like the Red Sox-Yankee game now.
Now we see a hit batsman trying to hit the pitcher back. This is interesting.
Only the 5th time this year that Clemens has hit a batter, and only the 4th time that Noakes has been hit. Now, Clemens was in the eye of the storm against Detroit at Fenway earlier this year.
Yeah.
He gave up a home run to somebody. The next hitter was Shelby.
Right.
He got decked, and he took off after Clemens, and there was a brawl.
Yeah. But I mean, if you look at the fact he only hit 5 people all year. That's not, you know, a headhunter or anything.
2-2.
I mean, Jim Lomborg, who used to play for the Sox, he would hit 15, 20 a year or whatever, you know.
Well, in '67, the year of the impossible dream for the Red Sox, he hit more than 20, and he won 22. He was about 1 hit batsman per win.
Yeah, so that's not, I mean, 5 hit batsmen in a season is not a big deal.
But, you know, he told me there was an art to going inside. And that forkball misses 3-2. He said if he was throwing at somebody, he would aim for the spot just about exactly where Noakes just got hit.
Yeah.
Lower rib cage.
Yeah, you can't duck it and you can't move out of the way. If you throw at his head, hitter's head, he can usually get out of the way. That's true.
But also, he didn't want to be throwing at his head. He didn't want to
hurt him,
injure him seriously. 4-3, the Yanks ahead. 1 out. There goes Noakes. Struck him out. Pena. He's in there. Oh, small measure of satisfaction for Matt Noakes. His first steal of the year.
Look where Roger Clemens is.
He's hollering at him.
Yeah, he walked out toward the mound.
He walked out halfway towards second from the mound and started hollering at Noakes.
Yeah. Well, there goes Noakes. A decent jump, but the throw is on the wrong side of the bag. So no chance really for him to be tagged out. But Noakes is upset, but Clemens walked halfway back there after the play and said something to him.
Now Alvaro Espinosa. He is 2 for 2, and as a result of the steal, he could deliver a run with another single here. 4-3 Yankees. Slider, a strike. Now Clemens, you know how sometimes, or in fact the other day, Norm Charlton hit Mike Scioscia and admitted it because he said Scioscia was stealing signs from second base and relaying them to the batter. Clemens, they say, thought that somebody was doing that. Slider, again a strike. So he turned around to the runner at second. He says, if you do that again, you're a dead man.
Well, that's a way of getting it stopped, I'm sure.
I think they would stop.
Yeah, that'll get it stopped.
0-2. And they might have been reminding Noakes, as we're in the 6th, that he'll be seeing him again a couple innings later. 0-2 the count to Espinosa. The Red Sox and Yankees, these teams have been doing this sort of thing since medieval days. I mean, the hated rivals for so many years. The Red Sox, the first 18 years of the century, were the dominant team in the American League. And they have not won a World Series since 1918 or since they traded Babe Ruth. Yeah.
Yeah, don't bring that other thing up. That curse.
Oh, you brought it up.
Oh, okay.
And fouled away by Espinosa. But beginning with that trade, the Yankees have become the great dynasty in all of sports. They've won more pennants and more World Series than any other team. And the Red Sox have never won a World Series since. And it's been, what, 73 years since their last one. 0-2 the count to Espinosa. Fouled back again.
But I thought that was interesting when this started, that the people in the bullpen, both bullpens are out in left center field, so they were coming, both teams are coming from left center field to first base to fight. That's unreal. They're both, the bullpens are out there.
Well, it was just a couple of years ago when somebody got hit in a Red Sox uniform and the player charged the mound, and the only man who came out of the dugout was Mike Greenwell. Nobody from the bullpens or the dugout other than Greenwell.
That was the camaraderie they had there in Boston at that time, right?
Greenwell attacked his teammates. I mean, verbally. Well, they were all out there tonight. 1-2 the count. Espinosa with a possible RBI out there at second base. Matt Noakes, 2 down in the 6th inning. A big out for Clemens to get here.
Well, you could see Clemens telling him to give me the signs again and change them, because he looked back and he thought Noakes was stealing them.
Plantier. And he's got it. So that's the inning. Little excitement, but no scoring for the Yankees. And Roger gets booed as he heads off the field. We're getting on into the 7th now.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Miller High Life. Buy that man a Miller. Buy that fan a Miller. And buy extra strength Rolaids with 1,000 milligrams of fast relief.
The Statue of Liberty, New York Harbor, the symbol of freedom for so many years to people coming via boat to the New World. And we are in New York, in the Bronx, which has a history all its own. And so far, bad news for the Red Sox tonight, trailing 4-3. And Joe, if you're a Red Sox hitter, and this is Tony Pena, I mean, Clemens is not going to bat. Right. Should somebody be expecting one pretty close here?
Well, it just depends on, you know, the attitude of Eric Plunk on the mound and the rest of the Yankee players. They're probably saying, isn't it better just to knock them out, to beat them and cost them a game in the pennant race?
Well, that was always Earl Weaver's feeling.
Right.
He said, hey, tight ball game, you hit a guy, might cost you the game.
Right. So you know, you'd rather knock them out of the, you know, put them keep them 4.5 games behind the Blue Jays if you could. That would be your goal if you were a Yankees player. And then you say, hey, maybe we'll even this score at another time. If you feel like Clemens was throwing at Noakes. Now, I mean, the rest of the Yankee players may not have felt that way, but they didn't get hit. Noakes was hit, so he reacted. And he did get hit. That was a solid hit.
Plunk has hit only one batter the whole year. Foul. 2-2 to Pena. We're in the top of the 7th. 4-3. Yanks ahead, and here's what's at stake for Boston. They would gain another half game on Toronto and be back to within 3.5. Oakland beat Toronto today 10-5. Tigers struggling, lost today at Milwaukee. And Joe Morgan hoping that his ball club can make one of those comebacks in the late innings tonight that pennant contenders make and that they have been making. And it is straight. So we mentioned that 1978 season with the 14-game advantage over the Yankees that the Red Sox lost, resulting in the playoff. But what often does not get mentioned is the fact that Boston had a 10-game winning streak right near the end of the season to themselves come storming back and create that playoff. And they also won 99 games that year. Yeah. Ball 4 to Pena. Well, that's the third walk, and that is always a bad omen for a starting pitcher. Late innings to walk a leadoff man. Here are the schedules now, and here is the Boston schedule. Now, most of their games are at home, and of course Fenway has always been an advantage for the Red Sox, except in that playoff game in '78. The Blue Jays, most of their games are on the road, and look where they have to play on the road.
Yeah.
All teams with strong starting pitching, every one of them. In fact, ironically, probably the weakest starting pitching of those 4 teams they play on the road is Oakland.
Yeah. But we all know what Oakland can do.
Yep. And they did it today, 10-5.
You know, you were talking about Eric Plunk. You know, he is not really a starting pitcher as such where, you know, he's used to going 9 innings. So, you know, the Yankees have to be looking, you know, for him to run out of gas any pitch now.
Here's the bunt. And that will work. Mattingly looks at second. It goes to Sachs at first. And Pena, the possible tying run, has been moved up. Rivera did a nice job getting that ball down. Guterman is up in the Yankees bullpen.
It's a tough pitch to bunt. It's inside. Now watch. He makes sure he stays on top of it, and he backs away trying to deaden it so he doesn't hit a line drive to first base. And Plunk, you know, has reached his season high as far as total pitches.
97 had been his previous high water mark for pitches thrown, and Guterman is getting the call with the left-handed hitting Wade Boggs coming up. Runner at second, 1 out. And the great Boggs coming up, 4-3 Yanks. There is the 6 feet 8 inch tall Lee Guterman, talented left-hander. Doesn't overpower you, Joe.
Yeah, but he has a good enough fastball that he can come inside on left-handers, and he has a good slider.
That he comes on to face the left-handed hitting Wade Boggs. There is a runner at second, and Boston has 2 chances here to bring him home. And the bullpen is busy for the Yankees once again. Right-hander Rich Monteleone is warming up. 4-3, the Yankees ahead, top of the 7th. And Boggs has walked twice tonight, scored a run, and he has grounded out to second. There's his average, 334, second best in the American League. Pena, the runner at second, possible tying run. Stride. Boggs in his career, 6 hits in 21 lifetime at bats against Guterman. Boggs has never fared well at Yankee Stadium, so he would never want to play on a full-time basis here. Foul, of course, he's got that inside-out stroke and takes advantage of the wall at Fenway and left. And in Yankee Stadium, it's just the opposite. You see, 288, not bad at Yankee Stadium, but of course, he's a lifetime hitter up around 340. So this has not been his favorite place.
There are a lot of parks where you see the ball better as a hitter than you do in other parks. So I'm sure that the reason he doesn't hit as well here is he doesn't pick up the ball quite as well from the pitcher, and there'll be a number of reasons for that.
0-2 the count. Curveball in the dirt. Oaks blocked it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Stump Merrill alongside his pitching coach, Mark Connor.
You know, you talk about the controversy surrounding Stump Merrill. You know, I don't think I've ever come to New York. I think in New York, controversy is like the traffic. It's always present. I mean, every time I come to New York, there's a controversy, whether it be here or Shea Stadium.
Slider misses, 2-2. Well, a lot of talk that Stump's firing has been imminent. There was an article in the New York Post the other day in which a writer handicapped the possibilities of who would replace Stump, but the headline read, "Stump must go," or something to that effect. Mattingly. And Boggs is out. Pena now at third.
You can be successful against Boggs if you make him pull the ball. Because he tries to stay on top of the ball, he will hit a lot of ground balls to the second baseman or the first baseman. If you make him pull the ball, when I say make him, that's throwing something off speed down and in, or something off speed in where he has to pull the ball.
Jody Reed. He pulled the ball back in the first inning right down the left field line for his 4th home run of the year. 2-run homer. He's also flied to left, and he is singled. 2 for 3 for Jody. We saw him early this year in Kansas City in a Sunday night game, and he couldn't even get his average to 200 at that time.
Really struggling.
Stride. Peter Gammons pointed out to Joe, talking about the Red Sox, they're not a great team. They have their holes. But since you talk about character, how about 1988? They were down by 9 at the All-Star break, came back, won the division. They were down by 4.5 early last year in September and were without Clemens. And yet they came back and beat the Blue Jays and won the division title again. They were 11.5 out this year, not so long ago, maybe 5 weeks ago. And now, with a win tonight, they'll be 3.5 out. And they will have gone 28-8 since being 11.5 out. 1 ball, 1 strike to Reed. There is Roger Clemens. Looking up a lather, perhaps. One and 2. Plantier, a left-handed hitter, is on deck. Jody Reed, the first 21 games of this season, was hitting 140. Since, he's hit 298. That's before tonight. And since he became a regular player, he's always had his average up around 290 to 300. Third taken, 2 and 2. Pena at third, 2 down. Red Sox trying to get him home here. Boston has not scored a run since the 4th. Boston was leading at one time 3-1 behind Clemens. 2. Phil Plantier awaits his turn on deck.
And I think that was in the back of Jody Reed's mind when he took those first 2 strikes, not knowing if they were going to come after him with a left-handed hitter like Plantier behind him. And so before he knew it, he was behind in the strike, you know, in the count.
And it's foul into the far corner of the Boston dugout, third base side. Still 2-2. Reed, tough to strike out. See, that's Steve Farr out there, number 26, but he's not throwing. Monteleone, the man behind him, is throwing, the right-hander.
Steve Farr got the save in yesterday's ball game. Struck out Tony Pena for the last out.
Three and 2. And that brings up an interesting point for the 9th inning. As we look ahead, at the Yankees are still leading because Farr has had arm trouble and has been used lately maybe once a week or once every 5 or 6 days. He's not been able to come back on consecutive days. 3 and 2 to count. 2 down. And it's all tied up down the left field line. And Kelly will play it off the wall. A double for Jody Reed, and Boston has tied the game. Third hit of the game and the third RBI of the game for Jody Reed, and that run is charged to Eric Plunk, who can no longer win the game.
Well, this is not the pitch that Gutterman wanted to throw. He's very upset because he gets the pitch up. He's trying to stay down. Now watch where this pitch is. High fastball. Easy to hit. It's going to be a line drive anyway if you just stay on top of it. And that's what it is. High fastball. And you can see he's upset because that is not where he wanted to throw the pitch.
Now Plantier. Stride. Well, one thing that has happened with the Yankees this year, particularly in the second half, you see Plantier's season's average now. That's after 83 at-bats. Yankees starting pitching has been so bad the second half of the year. The bullpen has really been worn thin. Curveball, and that's foul. 0-2 the count. And guys like Guterman, Farr, they truly have been overworked.
Well,
Eric Plunk.
That's what happens, you know, with starting pitching. And I have this theory that starting pitching is not as important now as it was 10 years ago, because people use their bullpen so much. Anytime a starter gets in trouble, they take him out anyway.
Just off the corner with a curveball. 1-2 the count.
You do not have many starting pitchers now, say like Ferguson Jenkins. One year he started 36 games, I believe, and completed 30. So you do not have that type of pitcher anymore. Starting pitcher, they do not go 9 innings.
Foul. In the American League, the leader for complete games is Jack McDowell of the White Sox with 14. In the National League, Tom Glavine of Atlanta has 9.
That's what I'm saying. You just do not see many people completing ball games as starters like before.
Jack Clark on deck. He would be next. Monteleone, the right-hander, warming up in the bullpen just in case. 1-2 to Plantier. Kind of a lollipop there. 2-2.
Plantier thought it was a breaking ball from the time he let it go, so he tried to stay in. Almost stayed in too long. Watch Plantier. Watch, he just stays there. He stays there. He stays there because he thinks it's a breaking ball and it doesn't break as much, and stays inside.
Plantier hitting well, but has not often faced left-handed pitching this year. Strike 3 with a breaking ball. He's been platooning in right with the veteran Tom Brunansky. And this at-bat against the left-hander does not work out well for him. But the Red Sox have tied it. They roll age relief break and add some points there for Dennis Eckersley. He got his 40th save today in Toronto. The Red Sox, who hate Dennis Eckersley, were glad to see him do it. I'm sure they were cheering him on. So that would tie him with Brian Harvey of the Angels for the American League lead. And nobody is going to catch Lee Smith.
No.
in the National League. Rob Dibble is the closest to him. And if you ever had a seat up in the light standard, this is the way it would look. My advice, if ever offered that seat, don't take it. We go to the last of the 7th inning from Yankee Stadium. And Roger Clemens still out there. He's had to labor tonight, giving up 4 runs and 8 hits, but he has not walked anybody, which Matt Noakes might have thought was rather suspicious when he got a hit.
Well, if you think about it, he had 2 rough innings, the 3rd and the 4th. Other than that, he's actually been, you know, in control. So he could have settled down, you know, the 5th and the 6th, of course. And we'll see how he is here in the 7th.
Well, he got through that 5th inning after the 3rd and 4th troubles. In the 5th, he threw only 5 pitches. Randy Velarde, the 9th place hitter, and there was Boggs hugging the foul line, guarding against the extra base hit, and that's right where Velarde hit the ball. He is now 1 for 3 with a run batted in, and we'll move to the top of the order for Steve Sachs. Clemens, 4 runs, 8 hits. He has not allowed 4 runs in a ball game since back on August the 21st against Cleveland.
Well, again, he was due to have this kind of an outing, but the type of pitcher that he is, he can bounce back and not give up another run the rest of the way and can still get a win. You can't win every ball game 2-1 or shut the opposition out every time you go to the mound, unless you're Bob Gibson in that one year where he had the 1.12 earned run average. It's almost impossible to do otherwise.
So he has been so valuable to the Red Sox, particularly down the stretch, because they have not been scoring many runs for him, and he's been winning those games anyway. Slider, strike 2. They have not scored more than 4 runs in a game for him, Joe, since back on August 21st. In the last 6 starts, they've scored 3 twice, 4 3 times, and the 5 once, but they got some of those after he had departed. And when he went 24 and 4 in 1986, they averaged better than 6 runs a game for him the whole year. Jody Reed. And Sachs is now 1 for 4. 2 down, and here is Bernie Williams right after the ball game. Stay tuned for Sports Center. All of the day in sports right here on Sports Center. All of the baseball highlights and scores, and of course the NFL week 3, and a conversation with Pete Rose. Here's Bernie Williams. He is 1 for 3 against Clemens. His 1 hit was a big one, a 2-out run scoring double in the 3rd. Last of the 7th, 4 to 4. Popped up. Foul ground. Boggs has room. Well, a very easy inning for Clemens there. 3 up and 3 down. He threw only 5 pitches again. Boston has Jack Clark, Mike Greenwell, and Mo Vaughn. Some power coming up. 4 to 4.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. By First Brands Corporation, makers of STP oil treatment. By Centel, the telecommunications company where people connect. And by America's favorites, A&W Root Beer and A&W Cream Soda. It's the taste that made A&W famous.
Looks like the David Letterman show back there. Rockefeller Center. And that's right near the skating rink, which will be again soon as the weather gets cool. And of course, around Christmas, you'll see that gigantic Christmas tree, New York tradition, right up behind that famed statue. New York's a fun place at the holidays. Jack Clark struck out twice and flied to right center. Now he is facing the left-handed Gooderman, and there are 2 left-handed hitters who are going to follow him here. So you would think that Gooderman would be very cautious here. Clark fouls it back. A lot of room behind home plate at Yankee Stadium, and Noakes has it. Much more room here than in Yankee Stadium behind the plate to the backstop than really in any other ballpark. About 90 feet.
Yeah, that's a lot of room. Actually, that's too much room as far as the hitter is concerned anyway.
far as Jack Clark's concerned.
Yeah.
Is Greenwell. Now Greenwell is a left-handed hitter facing the lefty Guterman. However, he checks his swing. He is hitting .331 against left-handed pitching for the year. He's hit better against the lefties than he has against the right-handers. There it is.
You'll find that a lot of left-handed hitters who hit 300 will do better against left-handed pitchers. That is simply because they stay in, they keep their front shoulder in, and they hit a lot of balls back through the middle and the other way.
Boom. Greenwell ahead.
Well, that ball was actually behind Greenwell, and he didn't have any place to go. And Greenwell takes a look at Guterman. You can actually see Noakes leaning inside all the way. But that pitch was behind him, and there's no place for him to go. See Noakes start to lean inside before the pitch even comes.
Now we get the pinch hitter, Carlos Quintana, who lately has been platooning at first with Mo Vaughn. Quintana has also come on strong in the second half. .305 for the year. On base average, .387. He's got 11 home runs, 63 batted in. With only 11 home runs, but he's had some real big games this year. Multiple homers and 5 or 6 RBI in games. Ball one. 4-4. We're in the top of the 8th inning. Quintana, the first man off the Boston bench. Brunansky is still available, another right-handed slugger. And Burks has the back problem, probably not available.
There's Mo Vaughn. Steve Lyons is the next hitter, and if he doesn't get the job done, you may see, if Quintana doesn't get the job done, you may see him pinch hit for by Tom Brunansky.
Greenwell, the runner at first. You don't think of him as being real speedy, but in this ball club, he is the speed. He's stolen 14 bases. Leads the club. Right up the middle, base hit for Quintana. Greenwell will hold at second base. Quintana now 5 for 14 as a pinch hitter. There he is with Al Bumbry, the B, first base coach.
It seemed like Greenwell was going to try it there, and it may have been a good gamble in this situation, but he stops at second base. Quintana grounds it directly up the middle, so a ground ball obviously takes longer to get to the outfielders than a line drive. And watch, Greenwell comes flying around there. He had a shot at it, but he decided not to try it. Anytime a fielder catches the ball and he's not moving towards the base he's going to throw to, the advantage goes to the runner. If he would have taken that ball moving toward third base, then you say he has to stop. But he was not moving toward third base. He was actually moving away from third.
Here is Bob Zupsik. And up out of the Boston farm system, he hit .240 this year at Pawtucket. 18 homers, 70 RBIs. And he already has one distinction, Joe, on the all-time Boston roster in alphabetical order. He's the very last name to appear.
Well, maybe this is what Joe Morgan, the manager, is guarding against. Stump Merrill, I want to call him Mitchell every time, I guess, football season. Stump Merrill would bring in the right-hander to pitch to Bruno. But I'm still a little surprised that he does not use Tom Brunansky in this situation.
He's using Zupsik, that's why. We'll be back. Monteleone in.
Tonight on SportsCenter, the Braves and Dodgers. The curtain comes down on this pennant drama. The Bears and Giants take it to the limit. And Pete Rose, our conversation on his time inside. SportsCenter after the game.
Well, we have a 4-4 tie, and Rich Monteleone is in, and this is why he put Zupik up there to pinch hit, because he did not want to send up Brunansky and have him bring in Monteleone. He's actually getting the matchup he wanted. Brumley is going to hit now, and he gets the right-left matchup that he wanted. So, you know, he knows they've managed against each other so often. He knows the tendencies that Stump will come up with, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to counter those moves.
On the other hand, I wouldn't think Stump would be too concerned about Brumley. They're the two base runners. He's hitting only .212, and as a left-handed hitter, he's hitting .177. Only 11 for 62.
The managers have tendencies too, and you know them after managing against the other manager. You know exactly what he'll do in certain situations.
Brumley with a base hit could put Boston ahead here. Joe Morgan still got some firepower in his bench. Here you see he's got Marzano, Brunansky, probably not Burks. He's hurt. And Cooper is the one left-handed hitter still available. Scott Cooper up out of the farm system. Richie Hebner, the hitting instructor, there in the background behind Joe Morgan. Greenwell at second, Quintana at first. Off the outside. 1 ball to no strikes. Greg Cataray, a left-hander, has started warming up now. In the Yankee bullpen, there he is. And in the Boston bullpen, left-hander Tony Fossis has begun to loosen up. Brumley, his father was a big leaguer back in the middle 60s with the Washington Senators. And Brumley himself pitches ball 2. Comes out of the University of Texas, and he played at the University of Texas with the likes of Roger Clemens, Calvin Schiraldi, and Spike Owen. Played in 3 consecutive College World Series. In 1983 College World Series, he hit .455. Hit a grand slam in that tournament. 2-0 the count. 3-0. Brumley accompanied Jack Clark and Mike Greenwell today to those NHRA races to watch Jack's car. First time he'd ever been in a race. Well, it's 3-0, and this is not what Stump had in mind. He had in mind Monteleone throwing some strikes here. On deck, Tony Pena. He walks him on 4 pitches, and the bases are loaded. Monteleone, a well-traveled right-hander. And as I recall, Joe, the night we did that strangest of all strange games in Seattle.
Right.
The 16-inning game, the longest game in the history of the Kingdome. Monteleone was the man who gave up the 2-run homer to Greg Briley in the last of the 16th to give the Mariners a victory. Monteleone's always been a journeyman and with many different organizations.
Well, if you are the Yankees, you have the guy up that you want to hit in this situation. Pena will not take a walk, and he also hits a lot of ground balls, so he's capable of hitting the double play grounder for you.
Ball 1. He has yet to throw a strike. So the Yankees are playing him. Shaded a bit. Really, the left fielder, Kelly, way over into left center. Well off the line. The infield pretty well straight up. Shortstop Espinosa. Second baseman Sachs pulled into double play depth. There's a strike. A ball and a strike. Greenwell at third. He was hit by a pitch. Quintana at second. He singled as a pinch hitter. And Brumley, who walked as a pinch hitter at first base. And we mentioned it. It didn't appear to be any kind of intentional hit batsman. But there's that hit batsman over at third base, the possible go-ahead run. We're in the 8th inning. That is foul. Roger Clemens. He's pitched the 7 innings. Given up 4 runs and 8 hits, no walks. And Clemens, who has so often picked up this ball club when they didn't score many runs, and tonight he was vulnerable. The Red Sox trying to pick him up a little bit.
Well, he gave up early runs. You know, they have not scored on him since the 4th inning, but he's due to have a good game where the Red Sox come back and get a few runs for him.
Tony Pena has not had a very strong year with the bat, except when the bases are loaded. Hitting .429 in bases loaded situations. Breaking ball, and he fought it off. Tough pitch. 1-2. 4-4 in the 8th inning. Monteleone, the third Yankees pitcher of the game. Joe Morgan back in a pennant race, as he most often has been as manager of the Red Sox.
There were rumors that he was going to be fired and Whitey Herzog might take over, which I didn't believe.
And which has since been denied in Boston.
Right.
1-2 the count. Whitey got too much of a sweetheart deal to go anywhere else. Gets to stay home in St. Louis. And he'll stay close to that fax machine and the satellite dish to keep tabs on the Angels. The best last place team in history, which he's hoping to change. 1-2 to Pena. The Red Sox trying to move closer to the first place Blue Jays. Popped him up. The infield fly is called. Espinosa has it. Monteleone did a very nice job with Pena.
Well, he got Pena reaching for the breaking balls, and he has snapped the bat.
Who does he think he is? Bo Jackson?
You see he's very upset. Beating on the wall. It's a breaking ball. See, he reaches for it. He gets out in front of it and pops it up. And he hammers the bat on the ground. I think he may have broken it right there. You can see it's broken there. So, no, he wasn't Bo Jackson.
All right. Here is Luis Rivera. The emotions of a pennant race. Ball 1. Rivera 0 for 2 with a sacrifice bunt. There is Pena hoping to deliver for his battery mate Roger Clemens, but not this time. Rivera has struck out, flied to center, and had the sacrifice bunt, which helped set up a run in the 7th, a run that tied the game. Bases loaded, 2 down. Rivera, the 9th place hitter. And it's a ball and a strike. 4 runs, 8 hits for each ball club. The Red Sox have left 5. The Yankees have left 4, but the Red Sox have 3 men on right here. And they had them on with only 1 out. Wade Boggs would be next. You've got Greenwell at third, Quintana at second, Brumley at first. All ready to go in anything with 2 down. Rivera hitting .249. 2-1. There's Greenwell, Quintana, and Brumley. And primarily at this point, the Yankees are concerned about Greenwell. And Matt Noakes, a lot of confidence in his ability to stop a ball. The bases loaded, calling for that pitch.
Well, he has to go with what Monteleone thinks is his best pitch at that time.
2-1 the count. That's foul. 2-2 the count. A lively crowd at Yankee Stadium tonight. When this series began Thursday night, this place was awfully quiet. The Red Sox won 7-2. Not a real big crowd tonight, but awfully noisy, very lively. Enjoying their one night in the pennant race. 2-2 the count. Bases loaded. Foul. On the third base side, it remains 2-2. Clemens trying to stay loose on the bench. Pena right alongside. Bill Fisher in the background, the pitching coach, who gave up what many feel was the longest home run ever hit in Yankee Stadium, to Mickey Mantle. Hit the facade in right field.
Oh, okay.
When the facade was in right field, the old stadium. Closest the ball ever came to leaving the yard here. This the whole ballpark. That will come back out of play.
Monteleone got ahead in the count, but since that time he has not made good pitches. He's thrown breaking balls, but they're hanging in the middle of the plate. And he's actually been pretty lucky that, you know, Rivera has not hit one on a line someplace.
2-2. Rivera backing out, making Monteleone wait. The three runners get their leads. Joe Morgan biting his lip. And Rivera backs out again. Little mind games going on now. He checked. So now Monteleone is all out of room with which to maneuver.
Well, after watching this at bat by Rivera, I believe Rivera will make sure that he gets a good pitch to hit. And you see Joe Morgan telling him, do not go for the fake, where he pumps toward third and turns and goes back to first base.
Because the runners will be going. They go. Foul back.
That was a good pitch there by Monteleone. That was a fastball low and away. Not a lot that Rivera could do with it.
Monteleone worked here Thursday night. Went 2 innings, gave up a run and 3 hits. He was brought back to the big leagues on August the 7th from Columbus. Greenwell at third, the possible go-ahead run. Quintana, second base. Brumley at first. They'll all be running. 2 down, 3-2. Ball at 4. Greenwell has been forced home. And Boston leads it 5-4. Pretty impressive at bat there by the 9th place hitter, Luis Rivera.
Very good point, John. He really battled him in that at bat, and he got what he wanted out of it, an RBI. It doesn't matter whether you get a single or a walk. You drove in the go-ahead run, and that was what Rivera was up there for.
And it brings Merrill out to the mound. I think we've seen the last of Monteleone.
It's a high fastball. He tried to throw a strike, and you can see he's very upset. But he's kind of aiming this pitch. Right there, you see, just trying to throw a strike. And the Red Sox dugout, very excited. 1 run for Roger Clemens at this stage with Jeff Reardon in the bullpen could be enough.
Hey, Rogers, I think, is one of those guys, as was Jim Palmer, as was Ron Guidry, and so many good ones over the years.
Right.
A lead late in the ball game, they clung to it with great tenacity, and that's Roger Clemens.
And you also have Jeff Reardon backing him up, who is obviously one of the best closers in baseball.
38 saves. So Catteray comes in. There's Jeff out, in the bullpen.
He's getting ready. He's stretching before he starts to throw.
And Monteleone rather disappointed. He got Tony Pena in a tough spot, and he was ahead of Rivera, but did not get him. And here's Catteray.
And Catteray didn't endure himself to the fans. First pitch went all the way to the backstop. So the fans let out a moan. Greg Catteray, of course, along with Eric Plunk, came over in the Ricky Henderson trade, the trade that sent Ricky Henderson back to the Oakland Athletics. And Catteray was, and Plunk was really the key guy for the Yankees. They thought he could develop into a real top-notch starter. And of course, a left-hander like Catteray is always valuable to have on your staff.
And like Plunk, he's never been able to settle into a role. They tried him as a starting pitcher. They've tried him as a closer, now a middle reliever. He's another guy like Plunk, great arm, great stuff. And he comes on here to face Boggs, who was 0 for 2. Monteleone sitting by his manager, Stump Merrill. 5-4, Boston is back ahead. The 2-out bases loaded walk drawn by Luis Rivera, his 32nd RBI of the year. But does that hurt? You give away the go-ahead run by walking the 9th hitter. Wade Boggs, bases loaded. Foul off the left field side. Remarkably, Boggs has had only 3 official at-bats with the bases loaded this year.
That is remarkable for a guy that plays every day.
3 for 3, though, and has had 8 RBIs. He's 0 for 2 tonight, hitting .333 at the moment. 1 ball, 1 strike. Quintana has moved over to third base now. Brumley is at second, and Rivera is over at first. The Red Sox have only 1 hit in this inning. Nice on the outside, 1 and 2. And again, Joe, it would make a great story if we could say with conviction that Mike Greenwell got a hit in retaliation of Clemens hitting Noakes, but it didn't seem to be that way.
No, and you will never get anyone on the Yankees to say that he was.
But intentional or not, that hit batsman has now scored the go-ahead run, what could be the winning run. Intentional or not, it has cost the Yankees dearly in the 8th inning. Just off the corner. Well, they used to say about Ted Williams, if he took a pitch, it must have been a ball.
Yeah, look at Stump. He didn't think it was a ball.
Greg Nettles also there, hollering out.
By the same token, Wade Boggs knows the strike zone so well that the umpires, you know, they're going to do a good job with him at the plate.
They struck him out. So you tell me, Rivera draws the bases loaded walk. Brumley drew a walk to load the bases. Boggs, he strikes out. Sure. We go to the last of the 8th. Mattingly to lead it off. 5-4 Boston. Tony Fosses has come on with 2 left-handed hitters due to lead it off for the Yankees. Mattingly and Hall, and Fosses, the lefty, out of the Boston bullpen.
Well, Fosses, you know, is here to try to retire the Yankees here in the 8th inning because they want Jeff Reardon to finish up the ball game. So his job is, you see Reardon throwing in the bullpen. Fosses' job is to get through Mattingly, Hall, and Noakes if he has to.
4 of the next 5 Yankee hitters are left-handed. There's Brumley now in center field. Used to be an outfielder. Brunansky has come on in place of Plantier in right field. Quintana stays in the game to play first base. And here is Mattingly. 0 for 3 tonight. Fastball for a strike.
And Fosses can be a little tough on left-handers because he kind of drops down a little bit. Not so much because you're afraid of the ball, but you're not used to picking the ball up from this delivery. The ball is down, and you're used to looking at 3/4 delivery. So when he drops down, it makes it a little tougher to pick the pitch up as quickly as you would like.
Fosses, Emilio Antonio Fosas, born in Havana, Cuba. Grabbed by Reed. Nice positioning there. Hit hard by Mattingly into the hole, but that's where Reed was playing it. And Mattingly is 0 for 4.
Well, Reed's a smart infielder, and he knows that he's getting a breaking ball. Mattingly was going to get a breaking ball, and he's more likely to pull it than he would a fastball. So you slide over in the hole a little bit, and you make the play. That's what good infielders will do. They will see the pitch, know what's coming, and adjust accordingly.
Mel Hall is hitting .320 against left-handed pitching this year. Little pop fly. The right fielder Brunansky, and he takes it out number 2 very quickly. Hall is 1 for 4. That will bring up the right-handed hitting Roberto Kelly. 5-4 Boston, last of the 8th. Coming up, Sports Center. All of the day's Major League highlights and scores, and as well the NFL week number 3, and the conversation tonight will be with Pete Rose. Roberto Kelly is fly to center. He has singled home a run, stolen a base, and scored a run. And he is struck out 1 for 3. 5-4 Boston in the last of the 8th inning. The Red Sox third baseman Boggs guarding the foul line. Ball 1. First baseman Quintana is shaded toward the foul line, but not right on the line. The outfield, meanwhile, bunched toward center. 2-0.
Fosses threw the ball very well to the 2 left-handed hitters. Now seems to be aiming the ball as if he's just trying to keep from making a mistake.
It's a strike. 2-1. Well, they've got another lefty on deck.
Well, it was a breaking ball there, 2-1, but you can't afford to put the tying run on base in Yankee Stadium with the left-handed hitters coming up.
3-1, especially Kelly, because you walk him, he could be at second base a moment later.
Well, not only that, and also the fact that, you know, the shortest distances in this ballpark are to the right field side. And Noakes is on deck, and he can definitely reach him.
Well, Kelly swung at ball 4 there.
Yes.
Not, very smart hitting there.
Not a lot he could do with the pitch, even if he would have hit it, because it was down and not a lot of pace on it.
Foul.
Maybe Quintana will move over a little bit now.
It would have been rather embarrassing.
Yeah.
Had that one been fair and gotten past him.
Interesting thing, though, Boggs is not exactly on the line. He's a couple of steps off the line, but he is, you know, fairly close to it. It would have to be a bullet to get it between him and the line.
3-2, 2 down. 5-4 Boston, last of the 8th. Right to Jody Reed. The Yankees have not had a hit since the 4th inning. We go to the 9th. Reed, Brunansky, and Clark. 5-4 Boston. John Miller and Joe Morgan. We go to the 9th inning. 5-4 Red Sox. Pete Rose on the Tonight Show Friday. Talked about my partner.
I played with so many great players. Johnny Benches, the Mike Schmitz, the Joe Morgans, the Tony Perez, the Steve Carltons, the Tom Seavers. I mean, when I played baseball, the guys had a lot of fun. That's the only thing that makes me a little bit mad about the players today is they make all this money, and that's great. But they act like they don't show like they're having any fun.
Yeah.
You know, baseball's a fun game. And
a lot of tennis players are like that nowadays. You know, they don't look like they're enjoying what they're doing.
a lot of
talk show hosts are like that too.
Yeah. But you're not like that. You have more fun than anybody. You make more damn money than anybody.
Well, he definitely had fun playing, John. I can attest to that.
Had fun with Johnny. And we'll have the conversation. Is the conversation on SportsCenter with Johnny? Is that the conversation we're showing? Jody Reed, the hitter, 3 for 4 in this game with 3 RBIs. All of that coming up on SportsCenter. Curveball is low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Greg Catteray, the hitter. Now Reed will be followed by the right-handed hitting Brunansky, and then the right-handed hitting Jack Clark.
John, you know, when I come to Yankee Stadium, I still think of George Steinbrenner, you know, because, you know, he actually helped the Yankees win those pennants and championships. And it reminds me of a quote from John McMullen, the owner of the Astros, one of my favorite quotes. He said, "Nothing is so limited as being a limited partner of George Steinbrenner." I thought that was one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard. And from John McMullen, owner of the Astros, that he was limited partner with George before he bought the Astros.
2-2 now to Reed, hitting .276. He's hit a 2-run homer, run-scoring double. He's also singled and flied out 3 for 4 in the ball game. What about, as you see Brunansky on deck, what about being a limited partner of John McMullen and the Astros?
Well, one of the things about all these limited partners, they made money.
2-2 to Jody Reed. We're in the top of the 9th inning. Boston, which has been winning these tight ball games down the stretch. In their last 12 games decided by 1 run, they have won 10. And when the tight ones, they win ball games coming from behind. Tonight, so far, they have done both. They were behind 4-3 into the 7th. They are now leading 5-4, and it is obviously a tight one. Joe Morgan, he took over the ball club 9 games out of the All-Star break in '88. They won it. They won it again last year. They got a shot at it this year. It's foul. That would be a bad record. 3 division titles in your first 4 seasons as a manager.
No, not shabby at all.
There are the standings. The Blue Jays, 18 games left. Boston, after tonight, will have 19 left. But most of them at Fenway. Most of the Blue Jays, in fact, 2/3 of their final games on the road. And I mean on the road. Way out on the West Coast. Simply a series of Minnesota that will end the year. That is a base hit. Now Hall picks it up, and Jody Reed has a 4-hit game. 3rd time this year that he's had 4 in a game. 10th 4-hit game of his career.
I don't think there's any doubt that Jody Reed is a high ball hitter. Every time he gets a pitch up, he hits it well. Hit the home run. He's hit singles on pitches up. So he stays above the ball. So when you get a high pitch, You hit a lot more line drives.
Foul ball by Brunansky. This is his first at bat. It's been in many ways the worst season Brunansky's had. Hitting only .229, 15 homers, 66 batted in. And back to the bag is Jody Reed. Tom Brunansky. He has now played in 100. This is his 130th game of the year. And at his low, there's some kind of a clause in his contract that has to do with an option year. It's based on games played. And there was speculation, in fact, by Brunansky himself, that he might not reach those numbers because of the big financial numbers involved. But Joe Morgan continues to use him in spots where you would normally use him, like the defensive replacement tonight, knowing that he would get to face the left-hander in the 9th inning. Uses him as a pinch hitter, starts him against lefties.
If you're a manager, the last thing you want to know is about the incentives that the players have. You want to manage a ball game to the best of your ability to have your ball club win. You do not want to know about, Brunansky's incentives, Boggs, or anyone else's.
2-1 to Brunansky. 7 of his 15 home runs have tied the score, put the Sox ahead. There is Reed at first base. A 4-hit night for him. Out of Boston's team total of 9. Reed is running, and it's fouled away by Bruno. Into the upper deck. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 22,303. The paid crowd tonight at Yankee Stadium. We're at the top of the 9th inning. Red Sox lead the Yanks 5-4. And that Boston lead has quieted this crowd down considerably. There's Dick Berardino, the third base coach for the Red Sox. Jack Clark is on deck. Interesting decision will have to be made by Joe Morgan. Not you, Joe.
No, the other one. The manager, Joe Morgan.
Yep. 3-2 the count. In the last of the 9th inning, he's got the left-handed sluggers, Noakes and Moss, to lead it off. He's got the left-hander Fossas in the game, but he also has Jeff Reardon, the great closer, in the bullpen. The decision, does he go right to Reardon? Or does he let Fossas face those lefties? On it going, the pitch is swung on and missed. Nice pickup by Sachs, and he tags out Reed. Strike out into a double play.
The toughest play to make on a tag play is to short hop a ball and then tag the runner out, because when you short hop it, you try to make your hands soft, which takes you away from the runner. But in this case, Sachs does a very good job of holding it. Noakes has plenty of time to make the throw, but it's in the dirt. Now watch Sachs. He did not make his hands soft. That's why he was able to make the play. It was one of those do or die plays. He just sticks it there, makes the catch, and tags him going by.
And a strike to Jack Clark. Canterbury, the 4th Yankee pitcher of the game. And by the way, the pitcher of record for a loss right now is Lee Guterman. And a swing and a miss. Guterman came into the game in the 7th inning with a runner at second. And Boston ahead 4-3. And speaking of decisions, Reardon is now getting ready in the Boston bullpen. Clark with a high fly ball. Right field, Mel Hall, easy play. That's it for the Red Sox. The Yankees have Noakes, Moss, and Espinosa. We go to the last of the 9th. Boston 5, Yankees 4. Here come the Yanks, last of the 9th, and Matt Noakes will lead it off against Tony Fossas, who will be left in there to face these lefties, at least Matt Noakes anyway.
I think it's a good move by Joe Morgan to leave him in and try to retire these 2 left-handers, Noakes and Moss. And if he's easily getting through those 2 guys easily, leave him in all the way. This is what happened to Matt Noakes in the 6th inning. He is drilled by Clemens. The ball sticks in between his elbow and his. Now watch, there's a moment right there he realizes there's no place to go. Nothing I can do.
And he takes a strike from Fosses. Of course, the interesting part of that was that he then took the ball out and fired it back to Roger Clemens. 0-1 to Noakes. A foul, and Fosses quickly into the count. 0-2. By the way, next weekend these two teams will meet at Fenway, and Clemens,
pitch,
with 4 days of rest, would be due up on Friday against Noakes and the Yankees. Noakes hitting .243 against left-handed pitching this year. He's never had a hit against Fosses. And it is 1-2. 0 for 3 against Fosses. Moss, the man on deck, also 0 for 3 against him. Now Reardon is up in the bullpen. He'll be ready. Two and two.
Well, Fosses got ahead in the count with 2 good fastballs on the inside part of the plate. And now he's trying to throw a slower breaking ball away, and he's missed twice.
Two and two the count to Matt Noakes. Foul it away. Well, you know, Joe, you're talking about bringing in the closer. Buck Rogers has a couple of times just within this past week brought in his aces from the bullpen, Eichhorn and then Harvey, or both. And I mean, twice this week he did it and it didn't work.
In the ball game the other night, Langston was leading, had a shutout through 8.
Struck him out.
And it's a nice pitch by Fosses in that he came back with a fastball 2-2, made Noakes aware that he would throw him a fastball. Now he goes back away with a sidearm curveball. Look at that. Good pitch, down and away. And Noakes kind of pulls off. He opens a little too quickly, and the ball goes away from him.
Kevin Moss, the hitter.
In this situation, I believe Joe Morgan had all the aces on his side.
Into shallow center, Brumley. 2 down.
What I mean by that is not a lot that Stump could do. If he pinch hits, brings in a right-hander, they're going to see Reardon. So he left the 2 left-handers in, and they saw Fosses. And now they're going to bring in Reardon.
And he's got 1 left-handed hitter still on his bench to stump Merrill, and that is Pat Sheridan. Yeah, Stump knew that.
Yeah.
We got a change. 1 out to go. 5-4 Boston. Jeff Reardon tries to get the final out, and Joe, I know that you were shaking your head about this move, as was Tony Pena, the catcher.
Right. My personal point is that Espinoza, who was the hitter, is not really a home run hitter. And you have Fosses throwing the ball well. You try to let him go ahead and get Espinoza out. But what happens now is you bring Reardon in, and they bring Sheridan off the bench. Sheridan, with the short porch in right field, is more likely to hit a home run than Espinoza is. Plus, Fosses has pitched very well in this ball game, and I think he deserves a reward of a save.
Fosses has faced 5 hitters and retired them all.
The tough hitters, too. The left-handed Yankee hitters.
Mattingly, Hall, Roberto Kelly, Noakes, and Moss.
And the people who have led the teams in home runs.
Now, Sheridan has 4 homers in 104 at-bats. And as a pinch hitter, he is 5 for 17 with 2 pinch hit home runs.
Well, even not knowing those numbers, I didn't know them, but I also know that Sheridan can hit the ball hard. But you never know what's going to happen when you bring in a new pitcher. I mean, Reardon, of course, is their closer, and he's earned the right to close most of their ball games. But in this particular case, Fosses, in my opinion, should have been given a chance to finish the game.
1 ball, 1 strike. Now, the Yankees have only 5 players on their bench. Sheridan is the only left-handed hitter. They've got to have fewer bench players than any major league team in September with the call-ups.
Right.
But their Columbus ball club is still involved in the postseason. The AAA farm club. So I imagine they'll get some call-ups when they're finished. And the breaking ball for a strike. It is 1-2.
Good pitch by Reardon. Reardon's basic pitches are a good fastball and the slider. And he came with a slower pitch there, a curveball, which also fools you with the speed rather than just the break.
2 down, 1-2 the count. Strike 3 call. The ball game is over.
So it shows why Joe Morgan is the manager and Joe Morgan is the broadcaster.
Brilliant move.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well, you first guessed anyway. I'll give you that. So the Red Sox have defeated the Yankees coming from behind. Clemens wins it. And for Roger, that is his 16th win of the year. A save for Reardon, number 39. The loser is Guterman. Sports Center comes up next. Don't miss it. All of the day's highlights in the world of sports. And don't miss us next Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll be in Oakland. The Blue Jays in first place versus the Athletics. John Miller for Joe Morgan from New York. Good night, everyone.